the Strongest Sect. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 676. Not a person who holds resentments. Sitting down to talk with the emperor level masters of the two major sects and spending money to buy the mineral veins shows that Jun Changxiao does not like to solve everything with violence. However, this does not mean that he is honest. Elder Cui of the Red Fire sect did not distinguish between first come first served and insisted on relying on his status to force the purchase of the ore he liked, which could only expose his cruel side. To be honest, from beginning to end, it was Elder Cui who challenged Jun Changxiao's temper. No one in the world can save him, which is very accurate. However, it is Elder Cui who cannot be saved. If he wants to try, he can only die immediately. If he wants to get the Linxing Stone, the warriors present did not see the process of Jun Changxiao's attack at all because it was too swift and resolute. But it did not prevent them from being shocked and frightened. Kill the king of martial arts in one move. This guy who looks like a miner turned out to be a hidden strong man. No wonder he dared to confront the elder of the Red Fire sect, and no wonder he could remain so calm after releasing the aura of the king of martial arts. Outside world, when many warriors saw Elder Cui lying on the ground without any breath of life, their eyes widened. I've heard that warriors in Moscow have bad tempers and fight over anything they don't agree with. Today, I saw that it's true. The one who died is an elder of the Red Fire sect, whose cultivation has reached the level of martial king. No way. Who is this young man? He looks unfamiliar. He shouldn't be from my Moscow. Not a local? Shopkeeper Hao has already notified the leader of the Strongest Sect with the sound transmission jade stone, and he should be here soon. The elder of the Red Fire sect was killed in his own store. This is definitely going to be a big deal. Warriors from various states and counties who were originally going to purchase or gathered at the door of the store, forgetting the purpose of their visit and becoming spectators. This matter is not over yet. When the leader of the Strongest Sect comes, it will definitely be more lively. Call someone. Sure. Jun Changxiao sat on the counter in the store and said, then wait and see if the sect in charge of the store will sell my ore. Killed someone, and still so arrogant. The warriors watching the excitement from the outside world were full of admiration. As for shopkeeper Hao, his legs were weak with fear at this moment. The elder of the Red Fire sect died in the store. If they were to be held accountable, losing his position would be a small matter, but losing his head would be a big matter. Swish, swish. Not long after, Feng Fisher, the leader of the Strongest Sect, rushed to the scene with several disciples. The ore shop was open again, and many big customers came to purchase. He happened to be busy entertaining people in Huangsha City. Look. At noon, he had a drink with several big men from other counties. He had already sobered up, but he was really puzzled. Why did shopkeeper Hao suddenly send a message saying that something big had happened? What big thing? Could it be that the people from the Chengfeng sect were here to cause trouble? Master Feng is here. The warriors gathered outside the door and made way for him. Feng Fisher walked straight ahead. Before he entered the ore shop, his spiritual thoughts spread first. He caught a person lying inside, and his face suddenly changed drastically. Isn't this Elder Cui of the Red Fire sect? Why is he lying on the floor of my shop? Did he drink too much? No. He has no breath of life. Dead. Feng Fisher almost jumped up in shock. His Strongest Sect and Chihuo Sect are old business partners. Now that Elder Cui died in the ore shop, this problem is very serious. Swish. Feng Fisher quickened his pace, stepped into the store, and said angrily, Hao Giant Hung, what's going on? Seeing this, the warriors outside the door immediately realized that the show was about to begin. The murderer did not take the opportunity to slip away, but sat on the counter in a high-profile manner. He is really an admirable iron-willed man. Sect Master. Shopkeeper Hao was resurrected on the spot with full health and full status, and said, it's him. He killed Elder Cui. Him? Feng Fisher looked in the direction he pointed, and his eyes immediately locked on Jun Changxiao, who was sitting on the counter, and said angrily, boy, you dare to be in my store. He spoke very quickly at first, but when he saw the man's appearance clearly, his speech slowed down abruptly and exclaimed, "Sect Master Jun." Half a month ago, he was also in the sunken dune, so he naturally recognized the leader of the Wangu sect. Leader? Is that guy the leader of the sect? The warriors watching the excitement outside were all surprised. Jun Chang smiled and said, "If I remember correctly, you should be the leader of the Changxiao sect, right?" "Yes, yes." Feng Fisher hurriedly said with a smile, "I'm Feng Fisher, the leader of the Changxiao sect." He had been furious when he rushed in, but suddenly he turned into a playful smile, which made Manager Heo and the warriors widen their eyes. Could it be? This kid has a lot of power. Jun Chang smiled and said, "I would like to ask Sect Master Feng, does your sect have a priority purchase right with the Red Fire sect for the ore shop you opened?" "Priority purchase right?" Feng Fisher said blankly, "No." Shopkeeper Heo was hit by a soul crit again, and he collapsed on the ground with the residual blood. His face turned extremely pale. The fact that the sect master treated this young man so tremblingly showed that he was not only strong, but also very powerful. "I'm afraid that I will be in danger today. Big brother, you are so awesome, but you don't dress up beautifully and come in like a miner. Aren't you deliberately looking for trouble?" Since there is no priority purchase right, Jun wants to ask, if two people are interested in the ore, do they have to score first come first served? Jun Chang smiled. "It must be." Feng Fisher said. Jun Changxiao pointed at Elder Cui and said, "Jun came first, and he came later. Who should we sell the ore to?" "This." Feng Fisher hesitated for a moment and said, "It must be sold to Sect Master Jun who came first." Ding. Congratulations to the host for completing the side quest and gaining 2000 contribution points. Ding. Contribution value 19,899/20,000. Point. Comfortable. Jun Changxiao said secretly. When Elder Cui forced to buy the ore, the system had already given him a side quest, which was to let the sect master of Changxiao sect come to judge and decide who should buy the linksing stone. This task was quite tricky. Sect Master Jun was briefly confused and then took action to deal with Elder Cui. When he came in, he already knew that the store was run by Changxiao sect, so he made a big deal and alarmed the sect master. However, it was too heavy a move. After hearing what Jun Changxiao said, Feng Fisher realized that Elder Cui must have had a conflict with him over the purchase of ore and was killed. "Brother Cui, you can mess with anyone else, but you have to mess with the leader of the Eternal Sect. If he could live again, Brother Cui would definitely cry and say, 'I didn't know he was the leader of the Eternal Sect.'" Jun Chang smiled and said, "I was the first one to see the linksing stone. Will you sell it to me, Master Feng?" "Buy." Feng Fisher said without hesitation. The Grand Elder and that old monster Zhu were so respectful, he certainly wouldn't dare to neglect them. "Your shopkeeper lied that you had the right of first refusal with others and didn't want to sell the ore to me. It was really a bit of bullying." Jun Chang smiled. Feng Fisher hurriedly said, "Feng will definitely deal with it seriously." Shopkeeper Heo's face became even paler, and he realized that he was really unlucky today. Jun Chang smiled and said, "I'm not a grudge holder." The corners of the mouths of the warriors twitched. "Yes, you don't bear grudges, because Elder Cui, who had a grudge against you, has been killed. How about this?" Jun Changxiao said, "I will buy 20,000 Jin of linksing stone for 10 taels of silver. Does Sect Master Feng have any objection?" 10 taels? Everyone almost fell down. This price is not even enough for a cup of tea. Pa. Jun Changxiao put 10 taels of silver on the counter and said, "If Sect Master Feng can't make a decision, you can invite the Grand Elder over. I don't mind talking to him over the table." Although the words were gentle, Feng Fisher could hear that he was warning himself. If he didn't agree, he could call the Grand Elder over to have a fight. "Sect Master Jun," Feng Fisher said seriously, "talking about money hurts feelings. I will give you 20,000 Jin of linksing stone for free." Chapter 677. The sect of Bimozhao is too polite. Feng Fisher is also a smart man. Jun Changxiao was covered in dust and looked like a miner. Manager Heo must have looked down on him and deliberately said something about the right of first refusal. As for the conflict with Elder Cui later, it must have been caused by this 20,000 Jin of Linksing Stone is not too expensive. In order to appease Jun Changxiao, Feng Fisher is naturally willing to give it away for free. The warriors outside were stunned. Who is this kid? Why did the leader of Strongest Sect be so cautious and even give away the ore for free? Thank you. Jun Changxiao took back the 10 taels of silver. Look. Isn't this a little bit of the loss of 10,000 natural Lingxi? System. Taking advantage of the system task, he took the opportunity to blackmail others for ore. Is this guy's face ground by a stone mill? Why don't you go and prepare the Linksing Stone quickly? Feng Fisher glared at Manager Hao. Yes. Manager Hao went to prepare the ore in fear and soon handed over the ring containing the Linksing Stone. Remember. Jun Changxiao took it and said, they are all customers, don't treat them differently. Remember. Shopkeeper Hao's forehead was covered with cold sweat and his hands were shaking violently. If he could still survive and still be the shopkeeper, he would never dare to look down on customers who come to buy things at any time. Master Feng. Jun Changxiao said, where is the shop of Chengfeng Sect? The one with the best decoration in the north. Is the ore shop opened by Chengfeng Sect? Feng Fisher said. Goodbye. Jun Changxiao bowed and left the ore shop in front of everyone. Feng Fisher raised his hand and wiped the sweat from his forehead. Losing a little Linksing Stone is nothing, as long as you don't provoke that guy. You are lucky. Master. Shopkeeper Hao said in a trembling voice. What about the body of Elder Cui? Elder Cui. Speaking of Elder Cui, Feng Fisher's face became ugly. Although the person was killed by Jun Changxiao, he died in his own shop after all. How should he explain to the Red Fire Sect? Don't worry about him. Let's take care of you first. Feng Fisher said angrily. When something happens, we must find the person responsible. Manager Hao almost cried and said, Master, I. Swoosh. At this moment, a stream of light flew in from outside and hit Elder Cui with incomparable accuracy. Feng Fisher's face changed drastically. The speed of the stream of light that suddenly flew in was too fast, and he didn't catch it at all. If it was a hidden weapon and attacked him, the consequences would be disastrous. Wow. Suddenly, Elder Cui suddenly spurted blood and then gasped for breath, as if he almost suffocated to death. Feeling his life breath gradually emerging, Feng Fisher was surprised and said, still alive. Yes. Elder Cui is not dead. It's just that Jun Changxiao punched him in the vital meridians, and his whole body was bound and in a state of suspended animation. Now that the side quest is completed and the ore is taken without spending money, this guy who is looking for trouble has gloriously completed his mission. Elder Cui recovered, endured the severe pain, and said with bloodshot eyes, Master Feng, who is that guy? He still had hearing when he died. It is undeniable that the boy is very strong, but how could he take a punch for no reason? Feng Fisher saw the hatred in Elder Cui's eyes and shook his head and said, Elder Cui, Feng suggests that you and your sect should not provoke him, otherwise, even with the support of the Holy Flame Sect, it will not work. This sentence made the warriors who did not leave surprised. Even a second-rate sect can't do it? This guy called Master Jun, could it be that he has great power? Master Feng. Elder Cui was stunned and said, who on earth is he? Master of the Eternal Ancient Sect. Feng Fisher said seriously, Jun Changxiao. What? Elder Cui almost jumped up without caring about his injury and said in surprise, he is the master of the sect that was rated as the top 3. Oh my god. The young man just now was Jun Changxiao. No wonder Master Feng was so polite when he saw him. The warriors on the street suddenly widened their eyes. Everyone in Mimozao has heard of the Eternal Ancient Sect, especially remembering that it had trampled the Holy Lily Sect under its feet not long ago. The anger on Elder Cui's face disappeared instantly. Even the second-rate sects were defeated, and his fourth-rate Chihuahua sect did not have the courage to face the Eternal Ancient Sect. So he was hit by a punch and almost died, which was a loss for him. When everyone was shocked, Jun Changxiao was already sitting in the VIP area of the ore shop opened by Chengfeng Sect. A beautiful woman handed over tea with a smile like a flower. Master Jun, the leader of the Chengfeng Sect, said with a smile, what kind of ore do you need? As long as our store has it, we will definitely be the first to sell it to you. He was also in Huangsha City. He learned that someone was committing a crime in the store next door, so he came to watch the fun. To be more precise, he came to see the joke of Changsha Sect. He never expected that the murderer was Jun Changxiao. When he walked out and came to his own store, he was very actively and warmly entertained. At the same time, he was secretly glad that he had to go to Changsha Sect's store first, otherwise, his own shopkeeper might not look at him well. Master Song. Jun Changxiao handed over the list and said, "Do you have these ores?" Master Song took it, looked at it carefully, and said, "Master Jun, our store has all these ores, but the quantity is not too large. I want them all." Jun Changxiao said with a smile. Sect Master Song said, "Please wait a moment. I will order someone to prepare it." With Feng Fisher as a demonstration, after all the ores were prepared, he took the initiative to say, "Master Jun is in charge of a large sect at such a young age. I admire you very much, so all these ores are given to you for free. Please don't despise them. Very good at handling things. Thank you." Jun Changxiao was not polite. He shamelessly accepted all the space rings and said, "Master Song, I need more ores. How about we establish a cooperative relationship? Or is something that will only be needed more in the future. It is impossible to come to Bimos to purchase every day, so we must find business partners like the AI family to stabilize the supply of ores." "Okay," said Sect Master Song. "Master Jun must be rich to be able to take out tens of thousands of natural spirit stones casually. If we really establish business dealings, we will definitely make a very substantial profit." Jun Changxiao pointed to the list and said, "Soon, branches of my Wangu sect will be opened in Bimo province. If there is business dealings, I will ask them to contact me. You are welcome at any time." Sect Master Song said this, but he was shocked in his heart. He actually wants to open a branch in Bimo province. Is he going to pull a net across the continent? Jun Changxiao not only wants to establish enough branches in various states and counties, but also wants to spread animal feed stores everywhere. In fact, animal feed stores can also be used as intelligence points, but branches can not only obtain intelligence, but also win over many independent cultivators, so he was separated out separately. Those who do intelligence, and those who make money continue to make money. Grasp both hands, and both hands must be strong. Goodbye. Jun Changxiao left the ore store and went to several other stores one after another. The other ore stores were all accomplices called over by Changsha Sect and Chengfeng Sect in the fight, so when he visited them one by one, they were all treated as honored guests. "Master Jun, don't talk about money. Master Jun, these ores can't be sold anyway, so if you need them, I'll give them all to you. Master Jun, please be sure to take back the money. Master Jun." Jun Gaosheng visited several ore stores one after another, and his space ring accumulated a lot of materials needed to refine weapons and equipment. "So happy. Hey." Walking on the street, Master Jun said awkwardly, "The sects in Bimos are too polite. They don't want money for this or that. I feel a little embarrassed. Only a little. The system couldn't help it. Me. Bah." Chapter 678. This guy finally left. It's not that the Bimos sect was polite, it's that Jun Changxiao went to persuade the fight, and the shock he brought to the two martial arts of the emperor was too great. If the previous rumors about the Wangu sect were just hearsay, the strong men of the 10 major sects such as the Changsha sect really saw it with their own eyes. As long as they don't do anything too outrageous, they will definitely try their best to please. Besides, the ore that Jun Changxiao bought is relatively rare in other states and counties, but it is very common in Bimos, and several major sects naturally don't care. It is definitely worthwhile to gain the favor of the top 3 sects with ore. Of course. Sect Master Jun is not really shameless. At night, a banquet was held at the highest standard restaurant in Huangsha City to entertain the sect bosses who gave him ore. Some sect masters were not in the city. After receiving the news, they immediately put down everything and came to the appointment. For a while, on the 3rd floor of the brightly lit restaurant, the masters of the 10 major sects who mainly engaged in the ore business gathered. It's a bit funny to say. Half a month ago, they were divided into 2 camps. fighting for the mineral veins, but now they are sitting together in peace. The banquet began. Sect Master Jun raised his glass to thank them one by one. At the same time, he also hoped to establish business relations with each of the 10 sects and deliver different minerals to the Wangu sect at regular intervals. Sect Master Song was a little depressed. He thought that it was his family doing business with the Wangu sect, but he didn't expect that other sects would also participate. No problem. Feng Fisher said cheerfully. Other sects echoed. In their view, the benefits of doing business with the Wangu sect are only secondary, and the real benefit is to establish a relationship. The potential top 3. The limelight is on the rise. Such a sect will definitely curry favor with them instead of offending them. Of course. Jun Chang smiled and said, Jun will not treat you unfairly. All minerals, no matter how much, will be purchased at the market price. He really wants to do business, because the Wangu sect still needs long-term development in the future. If others give him face and give him free minerals, why would they give him minerals every time? Fists can only make others surrender, but not convince them, so we have to follow the rules. Come on. Let's drink. Come on. Jun Changxiao and the high-ranking officials of the Bimozhao sect were drinking and having fun. If the leaders of the sects in Hezhou, Northwest China, Luzhou, Northeast China, and even Dan Hao's house saw this, they would definitely want to wipe their tears. In our territory, he either smashed the scene or challenged, and even his disciples dared to show off their power in the royal city. Why did he spend his time drinking and chatting with the leaders of various sects in Bimozhao? I thought this guy would be a troublemaker, but I guessed wrong. The system said helplessly. Based on its understanding of Jun Changxiao, the most serious consequence of rashly failing to persuade the fight would be to become an enemy of the entire Bimozhao. Going to Luzhou, Northeast China, and Dan Hao's are examples. What was the result? Not only did he live in peace with the sects in Bimozhao, but he almost swore brotherhood on the spot after drinking so much. This man is too hard to guess. The system said. Ding. Ding. After a round of drinking, Jun Changxiao heard the reminder sound of equipment refining completed. The ores obtained for free from various ore stores this time can be used to refine a lot of equipment such as Zeniang sword and Zuanti shield. Jun Changxiao used his spiritual energy to drive away the alcohol and said to himself, it's time to return. Everyone. He swallowed his danshan and shouted, Jun is leaving first. The voice penetrated the clouds and rippled in half of Bimozhao, startling many warriors who were already asleep. Who left? Many people were at a loss. Whoosh, in the sky, Jun Changxiao walked at a very fast speed holding Zia Long Long, with a smile on his face facing the wind. Feng Fisher and Song Sect Master watched him leave and said, this guy is finally gone. They heard everything about Jun Changxiao and summed up their experience. That is, as long as he goes to other states, something bad will definitely happen. In Luzhou, Northeast China, the Jahan Palace was smashed. Dan Hao's Hao not only smashed the Lily Saints sect, but also other sects. So when he appeared in Bimozhao and Huangsha City, Feng Fisher and others immediately became nervous, fearing that they would not treat this gentleman well and cause trouble again. Didn't Elder Cui of the Red Fire sect almost get killed? In short, the sects that have enough understanding of Jun Changxiao are extremely convinced that this kid must not be provoked. Wangu sect. The most irritable one is Yi Xingchen. In the past half month, Hua has not been pestering him and has become completely transparent. The main reason is that JD is really upset because he has a fiancé for no reason. In the last life, he was hurt by a woman. In this life, how could he make the same mistake again? Who? Yi Xingchen was on the 5th floor of the training tower to endure the torture of the soul so that he could remain absolutely calm and absolutely cold-blooded. Don't pursue martial arts too hard and don't pretend to be cold-blooded and heartless. Experiencing the 7 emotions and 6 desires and enjoying life is actually another kind of practice. Jun Changxiao's words suddenly rang in his ears. 7 emotions and 6 desires? Yi Xingchen clenched his fists and said with a cold look, I don't need it. The erosion of the soul reached its extreme and he finally couldn't hold on and he screamed in pain. The next day, Jun Changxiao returned to the sect. As for the matter of Yi Xingchen and Hua, he chose to wait and see. In fact, after guessing that this disciple might be a strong man reborn, Jun Changxiao could understand why the other party did not choose to accept this extra fiancé. Yi Xingchen is Yi Xingchen, not Pei Niu. Since there is no affection between the two, there will naturally be no result. King Guiyang. Jun Changxiao sat in the hall and said, did nothing happen during the time I was away? Report to the sect master. Li King Guiyang said, everything is normal. Oh. Jun Changxiao responded and said, by the way, I remember that you seem to have a lover? Yeah. Li King Guiyang said. His lover is also an ordinary girl, who has never been accepted by her father and family, and has been trying to obstruct. Now that you have entered the Martial King, why not go and find it? Jun Changxiao said. Not strong enough yet. Li King Guiyang said. Disciple hopes to break through to a higher level. Jun Changxiao walked down, patted him on the shoulder, and encouraged him, work hard. After returning to the sect, Jun Changxiao called Li Luoqiu to discuss the plan to continue expanding the branch, especially focusing on advancing to Bi Mozhao. Bi Mozhao is too far from Yangzhou in the southwest, so we need to do it slowly. Li Luoqiu said. Yes. Jun Changxiao said, the animal feed store also needs to expand, and the sect needs more funds. It will definitely take a lot of money to buy or to settle a business with the Bi Mozhao sect, so there must be absolute guarantees in this regard. Yes. Li Luoqiu nodded. Li King Guiyang is responsible for internal affairs, and she is responsible for external affairs. Jiangzi and the Ning brothers and other Wangu Zhang F4 are mainly responsible for teaching disciples. Speaking of teaching, it reminds me of Shangwen's an IAO, who has 100,000 questions. While studying formations, she also studied martial arts, and during this period, she created a lot of martial arts. Jun Changxiao asked her to save them first, and when they are almost enough, he will help to perfect them all, and then exchange them for martial arts in the Gangfa Pavilion. Ding. Ding. In the martial arts pavilion, the refined True Yang sword, piercing cloud blade and black iron shield were all placed inside. There were quite a few of them, at least thousands of each. Jun Changxiao set a price and told his disciples that, if they wanted to get them, they could exchange them with the contribution points given by completing tasks. In this way, everyone was more motivated to complete tasks. Hey. After everything was done, Jun Changxiao leaned back on the chair in the hall, stretched his waist and said, it's still a long way to go before the dragon and tiger contest. Are we just going to wait so boringly? Chapter 679 6-star mission. Jun Changxiao stuffed all the refined weapons and equipment into the weapon machine and marked the price. If the disciples wanted to get them, they could only do the sect mission to obtain contribution points. The current Wangu sect has completely entered the right track in terms of sect missions. There are disciples coming in and out of the mission pavilion every day. Because it is not linked to the sect construction mission, even if it is completed, only the disciple contribution points will be obtained, and Jun Changxiao will not have any rewards. It doesn't matter. As long as the disciples can benefit from the mission, he won't care. Junior brother Zhao Suzaomo said, let's go to do the mission. They are inner disciples with higher levels. Occasionally, they will go to clean up the high star missions in the mission pavilion. Because it is too difficult, it is difficult for ordinary entry level and outer disciples to solve it. Let's go. Zhao Zuji agreed. After resolving the grievances with Mirangzin, although he is still practicing hard, his mentality is much more relaxed than before. Do you want to call junior brother Yi? Suzaomo said. Zhao Zuji said, he's not in a good mood recently. I think we should just forget about it. Suzaomo said helplessly, with such a beautiful fiancé, he keeps a sour face all day long. Junior brother Yi is really ungrateful. Maybe he has his reasons. As they were talking, they had already entered the task pavilion. At this moment, many disciples gathered in front of the task list, looking at the dazzling array of tasks. Second senior brother. Suzaomo shouted, you're here too? Yeah. Li King Guiyang folded his hands and said, a 6-star task has been issued recently. Do you want to do it together? 6-star? Suzaomo hurriedly looked at the task list. On weekdays, the highest difficulty of the tasks on the task list is only 5 stars. It is absolutely rare to see a 6-star task. Sure enough, at the top of the list, a 6-star task was listed. The content was to eradicate the Black Dragon evil sect that was causing trouble to the neighbors at the border of Nanhuangsao. Black Dragon evil sect? Suzaomo touched his chin and said, evil forces? Are you going? Li Qingyang asked. Let's go. Xiao Zuji and Suzaomo said in unison. Okay. Li Qingyang clicked the button to accept the task, but it said that the task was very difficult and required 5 disciples to accept it. 5 disciples? Suzaomo said in surprise. It seems that this task is a bit unusual. I'll go too. Yiwudi came over from behind. Jun Changxiao put various weapons in the weapon machine. He was particularly itchy after seeing it, so he decided to do the task to earn contribution points for exchange. Okay. Li Qingyang said, one more is missing. Second brother. Yao Mengying raised her hand and shouted, can I go with you? This? Li Qingyang frowned. Okay. Yao Mengying's big eyes were filled with begging, and her little look was really hard to refuse. Junior sister, you can go. Thank you, second senior brother. However, Li Qingyang added, you must control your breath, and don't release it at will. Yes. Yao Mengying said, I will control it. Let's go. After gathering 5 people, Li Qingyang received the task of eradicating the Black Dragon evil sect. However, he did not go down the mountain immediately because of his steady personality. Instead, he went to Xiao Hall to collect information about this evil sect. Black Dragon evil sect? Li Luoqiu held his chin and said, a 5th-rate evil sect in southern wilderness state. The sect master is at the level of a 5th grade martial king. There are 4 elders under his command. Their strength is at the level of martial kings. As for the disciples, there are about 4 to 5,000 people. Li Qingyang said, there are actually 5 martial kings. No wonder it is a 6-star task. This evil sect is not simple. Li Luoqiu said, as far as I know, practicing a special evil method can quickly improve your cultivation. Really? Li Qingyang frowned. Moreover, Li Luoqiu said, the evil method they practice is mainly based on refining human blood. Suzaomo was surprised and said, so cruel. More than cruel. Li Luoqiu said, in recent years in southern wasteland state, villagers in many villages disappeared overnight, and their whereabouts are still unknown. Li Qingyang frowned and said, was it done by the Black Dragon evil sect? Li Luoqiu shook his head and said, there is not enough evidence to prove whether it was done by this evil sect, but many sects in southern wasteland states speculate that it was them. TSK. Suzaomo said, this is really an out and out cruel evil sect. So, Jun Changxiao walked into Xiao Hall and said, that's why it appears on the task list in the form of a task. Master. The disciples saluted hurriedly. Jun Chang smiled and said, the sects in Nanhuangsao don't have evidence and dare not take action, so let my Wongu sect do justice for the heaven. This task is handed over to you guys. You must get rid of it. Yes. Li Qingyang, Xiao Zuji and others said in unison. They walked out of Xiao Hall and called Hurricane Wolf over. Before leaving, Jun Chang smiled and reminded, to deal with the evil sect, there is no need to be fair and just, as long as it can be solved, any method can be used. For example, looking at Xiao Zuji, he said, field artillery. Li Qingyang and Suzaomo's mouths twitched. The arrogant field artillery that the sect master assigned to Xiao junior brother almost blew up the 4th-rate Jahan Palace. It's easy to deal with a 5th-rate evil sect. Sect master, I understand. Xiao Zuji said. Go quickly and come back quickly. Jun Chang smiled and said, don't waste time. Yes. Li Qingyang gave an order and took 4 junior brothers to ride Hurricane Wolf to leave Wongu sect. Master. Li Luoqiu, who was standing behind, said that girl Mengying also went with him. I'm afraid that's a bit inappropriate. Jun Chang smiled and said, the young eagle will eventually leave its mother's arms and learn to fly in the sky with its own wings. Okay. Li Luoqiu said no more. Jun Chang smiled and said, how are the preparations for the Bimozhao branch going these days? The people have arrived and are selecting sites in various counties. Li Luoqiu said. Yeah. The border of Nanhuangsao is a long stretch of deep mountains and old forests. Because of the environment, it is very damp and dark. Swish. Swish. 4 figures flew over and landed on a big tree like ghosts. Not far in front of them, there was a group of buildings leaning against the mountain. The lights were bright inside and occasionally noises could be heard. Similar to the plaque hanging on the mountain gate building, it was engraved with the 4 big characters Black Dragon Evil Sect. Second senior brother. Suzaomo transmitted the message. This is it. Li Qingyang released his spiritual thoughts, but just as he merged into the sect, he was bounced back by a force. He frowned and said, there is a protective formation. Huh. Yao Mengying said, where is senior brother Zio? Li Qingyang, Suzaomo and Hiwudi were present, but Zio Zuji was not there. Junior sister. Suzaomo pointed to a direction behind and smiled. He's there. Yao Mengying looked over and saw senior brother Zio on the high slope, so she asked in confusion, why doesn't he come over? Junior sister. Suzaomo said, be sure to cover your ears later. If you can't, just block your hearing temporarily. Yao Mengying looked puzzled. Swish. Zio Zuji, who was behind, waved his hand and summoned the field artillery, then put his foot on the barrel and aimed the muzzle at the Black Dragon Evil Sect. Everyone block your hearing. Li Qingyang transmitted the message. Suzaomo had completely blocked her hearing before she said that, and even subconsciously covered her ears. Yao Mengying was puzzled, but since her senior brother had said so, she would definitely do it, so she blocked her hearing and covered her ears, her big eyes always staring at the field gun. What is that? Hiwudi was also looking at the field gun. Bang, damn. My ears. Chapter 680, Destroy My Sect, Never Give Up. Jun Changxiao handed the field artillery to Zio Zuji. The 2nd Battalion commander also made full use of the extremely lethal weapon, especially the posture of putting one foot on the barrel, which was really handsome. After a simple proofreading, he fired directly. It can be said that it was extremely fast. The shells were condensed by high-level crystal cores, and the power was stronger than the bombing of the Extreme Cold Palace, and the roll produced was even louder. Li Qingyang, Suzaomo and Yao Mengying blocked their hearing early and were not affected. The defenseless Hiwudi was shocked, and his ears were buzzing, and the blood in his body seemed to boil instantly when he saw the stream of light sprayed from the muzzle, vibrating the space, leaving extremely long traces. He was so shocked that his eyes popped out. This is what kind of treasure can burst out such a strong force? Although he has practiced in the sect for a long time, he has never seen such high-tech products from other civilizations. Boom. The shell dragged an arc and blasted the sky above the Black Dragon Evil Sect with the force of thunder. The space was violently shaken, and the invisible Guardian Sect was instantly shattered into nothingness. The 4th-rate Extreme Cold Palace formation couldn't withstand it, let alone a 5th-rate Evil Sect. However, the first shell only shattered the formation, and did not affect the Black Dragon Evil Sect. Swish, swish, swish. In an instant, streams of light filled with black aura flew out. They were the 5 martial kings led by the leader of the Black Dragon Evil Sect. They would definitely not remain indifferent to the terrifying power that broke the formation. Such a strong evil spirit. Yao Mengying's eyes lit up immediately, and she was eager to try. During this period, she had been practicing the Blood Cloud Sky residual scripture and had become a genuine demon cultivator. She was very sensitive to warriors with similar attributes. In theory, evil cultivators are actually a branch of demon cultivators. Because the route they take is not so extreme, they have survived in the Starfall continent. Li Qingyang saw the fighting spirit in Yao Mengying's eyes and told her, junior sister, you just need to watch. I'll leave these people to you, senior brother. Yes. Yao Mengying nodded. Even if she wanted to fight the evil cultivator, she would still listen to her senior brother and suppress the thought of fighting. Let's go. As soon as Li Qingyang opened his mouth, Hiwudi, whose ears were buzzing and thinking about random things, rushed over first. After practicing in the Eternal Ancient Sect for so long, he rarely had the opportunity to fight in actual combat. He must have a good fight today. Swish, swish. Li Qingyang and Suzaomo followed closely behind, and they all sacrificed their cold swords. The leader of the Black Dragon Evil Sect and the 4 elders who rushed out saw 3 warriors flying out of the darkness, and their eyes suddenly showed strong murderous intent. There was no one else in the forest, and it must be them who bombarded the sect protection formation. Kill them. the leader of the Black Dragon Evil Sect said coldly. Hoo-hoo. At this moment, Woody had already rushed in front of him, and his right fist suddenly cut through the void, performing the mountain collapse and earth-splitting fist. This speed, this power. Even Li Qingyang and Suzume were stunned. Not good. The Black Dragon Evil Sect's leader's face changed drastically, and he subconsciously condensed a wall of energy in front of him, but it was too late. He only saw the iron fist penetrate the condensed spiritual energy and hit his face directly. Fast, fierce, and accurate. Bang! The Black Dragon Evil Sect's leader was like a cannonball, suddenly blasting backwards, smashing rocks and trees one after another, and finally fell on the stairs in front of the mountain gate. Die. At this moment, an elder came around like a ghost, gathering the black ink-like attributes in his hands, and stabbed over in a cone. Swish. Woody suddenly turned around, and raised his fist to slam. The back of his hand collided with the tip of the black cone, and it was crushed to pieces with great dominance. What? The elder was shocked. The evil martial arts that he condensed emphasize sharpness. This guy smashed it head on with just his fist. How tough must he be? Bang! At this moment, Woody's invincible fist hit him hard on the chest, and millions of pounds of force burst out, directly blasting the opponent hundreds of feet away. Two martial kings were knocked away with two moves. Powerful. Li Qingyang and Suzume's mouths twitched. Unexpectedly, the strength of this closed disciple was so explosive, not inferior to junior brother Yi at all. Bang! After calibration, the 2nd Battalion Commander Ziozuji started the field artillery again. With a loud noise, the shells turned into streams of light and fell on the outer courtyard of the Black Dragon Evil Sect with incredible accuracy. The disciples of the Black Dragon Evil Sect who were ready to fight out saw the stream of light representing death, and their eyes were filled with despair. At that moment, they realized that they were going to die. Boom. The shells fell and exploded on the spot. If Zendejin was present at this time, he would definitely feel very comfortable, because what he likes most is to interpret what art is through explosions. Whoosh. The explosion energy rubbed against the space, and a dazzling light rose up, and the darkness of the mountains and forests was instantly dispelled. When everything dissipated, a huge pit appeared, with broken limbs and arms scattered, and blood mixed with soil, which was horrible to watch. Without the protection of the protective formation, the outer courtyard of the Black Dragon Evil Sect was directly razed to the ground, and thousands of disciples died on the spot. As for those who survived, they were paralyzed in the inner courtyard. What kind of terrifying power is this to cause such a terrifying lethality? No. The leader of the Black Dragon Evil Sect was bloodshot, and several elders were red-eyed. They didn't care how many disciples died, but they cared that the hall representing the symbol of the sect was gone. Destroy my sect, and we will never stop until we die. The leader of the Black Dragon Evil Sect roared angrily, and there was a crackling sound from his bones all over his body, and his entire skin quickly turned black. Woody frowned slightly. Whoosh! The leader of the Black Dragon Evil Sect suddenly appeared in front of him, his eyes emitting a sinister light, and his completely black and big hand suddenly slammed towards him. The speed was very fast. Woody was caught off guard, and was directly blasted away. Junior brother Li Qingyang and Suzume exclaimed. Hoo-hoo. At this moment, the 4 elders of the Black Dragon Evil Sect also appeared in front of the two of them. Their skin was completely black, and their eyes flashed with a sinister light, like 4 demons from hell. Not good. Li Qingyang and Suzume felt something was wrong, and they instantly condensed their spiritual armor, and materialized the armor, to arm their whole bodies. Boom. Boom. At this moment, the 4 elders had already condensed their extremely sinister power and blasted over, and the 2 of them were immediately blasted away like cannonballs. Swish. Swish. Ziozuji flew over with the cloud step, his arms suddenly spread out, and his strong spiritual energy burst out, turning into 2 big hands, steadily catching the 2 brothers who were about to fall to the ground. Die. The 4 elders rushed over, and their black palms, as if they were blessed with armed colors, suddenly bombarded the void, and instantly formed a series of powerful streamer shells. Step. Ziozuji stepped on the ground with 1 foot, and stretched out his arms. The heavy earth attribute burst out instantly, forming a huge and hard wall in front of him, not only protecting himself, but also protecting Li Qingyang and others. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 681, Demonic Energy Entering the Body. Boom. 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 The black shells blasted wildly on the earth wall condensed by Zyrozuji, and suddenly rolled out a gurgling of extremely gloomy and strange breath. For a time, the area was filled with terrifying attributes, as if it was hell. Senior brother, Yao Mengying in the distance suddenly became nervous. She wanted to go over to help, but because of the previous instructions of the second senior brother, she could only clench her fists and watch the battle. Hold on, hold on. Senior brother is very strong. He will definitely be fine. Boom. Boom. The black shells were still bombarding wildly, and Zyrozuji, who was behind the earth wall, looked more and more solemn. The solid earth wall was unable to support the high intensity and high power bombardment, and cracks suddenly appeared, and then it collapsed with a bang. Zyrozuji took 2 steps back, and the blood in his body suddenly boiled. The meat shield of the Eternal Ancient Sect was actually broken. Fortunately, the opponent's bombardment was over, otherwise it would be difficult to protect himself, and Li Qingyang and others. Swish. Yiwudi jumped out of the pit and said, "Is this an amplification type magical power?" The leader of the Black Dragon Evil Sect and the 4 elders were all black, and their strength was obviously much stronger than before, at least at the level of the 8th or 9th grade Martial King. With his current 4th grade Martial King, it was difficult to compete with them. Suddenly, there was a sharp pain in the chest. Yiwudi hurriedly looked down and saw that the clothes in the area that was bombarded had rotted and the exposed skin was dark black, so he said in a deep voice, "The devil's energy has entered the body." Whoosh. As soon as the voice fell, a very strong and gloomy breath in the body quickly spread like a virus and crazily eroded the meridians, making him look ferocious. Damn it. Yiwudi forcibly suppressed the devil's energy running around in his body with his spiritual energy, and said hatefully, "I was careless." Swish. Swish. Li Qingyang and Suzume stabilized their bodies. Although they had condensed their spirit armor in advance, the armor attached to their bodies showed a black palm print, and the demonic energy contained extremely strong penetration, and instantly penetrated into the body. Not good. Li Qingyang said in surprise. Poisoned. Swish. Suzume waved her hand, took out the detoxification pill from the space ring and swallowed it. However, the effect of the pill evaporated in the body, and it was unable to dissolve the spreading demonic energy, so it could only be forcibly suppressed with spiritual energy. Second brother. Suzume collapsed and said, "The detoxification pill doesn't work." Yiwudi said with a gloomy face, "This is demonic energy, not toxins, and it can't be dissolved by detoxification pills. What should I do?" Suzume said. Yiwudi said, "You can only use spiritual energy to suppress it and force it out of the body." Suzume's face looked ugly. The demonic energy in the body was so powerful that it could only be suppressed temporarily. How could it be forced out of the body? Trouble. Li Qingyang frowned. At first, when he saw the high-level members of the Black Dragon Evil Sect rushing out, his realm was only the 3rd or 5th level king, and he thought that the 6-star task should be easy to complete. Now that they have used some martial arts to increase their skills, and they are also disturbed by the devil's energy, it is probably difficult to complete it. As the most stable second disciple of the Eternal Ancient Sect, Li Qingyang did not lose his mind, and said in a voice transmission, "While we can still suppress the devil's energy, we will retreat quickly. At this moment, we have to divide our spiritual energy to suppress the devil's energy, and we can't fight anymore. Leaving is the wisest choice. You go." Zyrozuji stood in front of the 3 people and said, "I'll cover you." He was not infected with devil's energy and still had fighting power. As a qualified meat shield, it is also right to cover the back for his fellow disciples. Li Qingyang said, "Let's go. In the current situation, there is no room for indecision. We must evacuate as soon as possible. Once trapped by the other party, we will be unable to escape. Today, you will die." The leader of the Black Dragon Evil Sect and the 4 elders came up from different directions, and the pervasive dark breath whistled. The surrounding trees, flowers, and plants were eroded and dried up immediately, without any breath of life. Not only have their strengths been comprehensively improved, but the weird breath is also very strong. With Li Qingyang and the others in their current state, going head on would be a death sentence. Boom. Boom. The 5 powerful men of the evil sect slammed into the void with their hands, and the dark energy turned into a huge fist, smashing down on everyone. But Xiao Zhuji's body was condensed into materialized armor, and the black iron shield was already standing in front of him. But a materialized defensive barrier appeared in the air in an arc shape. This is a perfect combination of strong spiritual energy, earth attributes, and various equipment. It can be said that Xiao Zhuji's strongest defense at present. The various gloomy energies that came, each attack was no less than that of the 9th grade Martial King, and the sect master had even reached the peak level. This battle, for Xiao Zhuji, it is definitely a test. And he has to block it no matter what, because there are fellow disciples behind him. Hoo-hoo, boom, boom, boom. Various violent forces slammed into the barrier, and ripples suddenly appeared, spreading wildly around, and the creatures with life breath quickly withered and decayed wherever they passed. Swish, swish. While Xiao Zhuji was resisting the attacks of 5 evil sect masters, Li Qingyang, Suzaomo and the other 2 retreated. However, the evil energy in their bodies was attacking their defenses with every step, making them more and more powerless. Puff. Suzaomo couldn't hold back, and spurted out a mouthful of blood. Junior sister, Li Qingyang was still able to hold his demonic energy. He landed in front of Yao Mengying, and said with an unpleasant face, "Let's go." Second senior brother. Yao Mengying said, "Are we going to leave senior brother Xiao behind?" "It's too late." Li Qingyang didn't explain, but put one hand on the junior sister's shoulder, and was about to take her away. Hoo-hoo. However, just after touching Yao Mengying for a moment, the demonic energy in his body suddenly erupted, breaking through all defenses like a broken bamboo. Puff. Li Qingyang spurted out a mouthful of blood, thinking to himself, "It's over." The next second, his eyes widened. Because the demonic energy that broke through the defense did not attack the meridians of the whole body, but rushed out along the arm. That hand happened to be connected to Yao Mengying. No. Demonic energy is contagious. Li Qingyang's face changed drastically, and he was about to let go, but the palm that touched the junior sister seemed to be stuck, and couldn't be separated at all. Li Qingyang, Li Qingyang. How could you be so stupid to touch Yao Mengying with demonic energy? At that moment, Li Qingyang was full of self-blame. He decisively used the cold sword to chop at his arm, trying to stop the evil spirit from harassing his junior sister. Pa. Yao Mengying raised her hand to stop her senior brother. Whoosh. A stream of evil spirit instantly poured into her body like a torrent of water. Junior sister. Li Qingyang just opened his mouth and closed it, because Yao Mengying smiled after the evil spirit entered her body. She was smiling. The little junior sister was actually smiling. Whoosh. At this moment, the evil spirit in the body was completely guided out, and the pain and harassment suddenly weakened a lot. Swish. Yao Mengying shook Li Qingyang off with one hand, and the latter immediately hit the stone. Swish. The little girl strode towards Yiwudi and Suzaomo, who fell in front of her, and her 2 little hands directly clasped their shoulders. Whoosh. The evil spirits of the 2 senior brothers were immediately drawn, and instantly merged into her body. After the 2 violent demonic energies entered, they not only did not produce any destructive power, but instead merged into the Danshan like a docile kitten, and was gradually absorbed. So comfortable. Yao Mengying's eyes suddenly lit up, and the smile on her face became even more intense. Chapter 682. Yao Mengying's Rage. This. Li Qingyang and the others were dumbfounded. The demonic energy was extremely destructive to itself, and the little junior sister took it all away. Not only was she fine, but she was also smiling happily. This was incredible. Wait. Everyone instantly thought that Yao Mengying had awakened her innate demon body. This kind of demonic energy with extremely strong penetration could not cause harm to the little junior sister. It seemed normal. Forgot. Li Qingyang patted his forehead and said, the situation was too chaotic just now, so he suddenly forgot about it. However, Li Qingyang and Su Xiaomo didn't know that Yao Mengying could not only ignore the demonic energy, but also absorb it and convert it into energy. This is undoubtedly a very cool thing. No wonder the little girl smiled so brightly after absorbing it. Boom. Boom. At this moment, dense booms came from the distance again. Xiao Zuji, who had fully opened his defense, had been gradually unable to withstand the bombardment of 5 martial kings who were close to the peak level. Kakaka, after another bombardment, cracks appeared in the materialized defense barrier. Boom. Boom. The bombardment continued, and the eerie aura became even stronger. Bang, the defensive barrier completely collapsed into nothingness. It was not that he was not strong enough, but that the power of the 5 evil sect masters' bombardment carried demonic energy, which had the effect of corroding defense. Bang, bang, bang. Xiao Zuji exploded backwards, spitting blood. He had no time to take care of his own injuries. Looking back, he saw Li Qingyang and others still standing there in a daze, and shouted, "I can't hold on any longer. Why haven't you left yet? Brother, don't panic." Suddenly, a voice came from the side and said, "Leave them to me." Xiao Zuji was stunned and turned his head stiffly. The little junior sister had stood in front of him without knowing when. Her 2 little hands were in the shape of claws, and a strange and eerie aura permeated out, and her bright eyes flashed with strong murderous intent. This. Xiao Zuji shuddered involuntarily. In his opinion, the little junior sister had lost her former innocence and cuteness, as if she had turned into a little devil from hell. The leader of the Black Dragon evil sect and the 4 elders who attacked, seeing the little girl who suddenly appeared, especially felt the demonic energy that was even purer than their own. All showed horror on their faces. Demonic cultivator. She is a demonic cultivator. Yao Mengying clenched her hands and said with a cold face, "You will all die today if you hurt my senior brother." Hoo-hoo. The demonic energy behind her whistled out as if it turned into a big net, pressing down on the 5 evil sect masters. Authentic demonic energy. The warriors of the Black Dragon evil sect are simply no match. Retreat. The leader of the Black Dragon evil sect exclaimed. However, the demonic energy net had already rushed over, spreading over a wide range, and quickly surrounded them. At the same time, a strong traction force burst out, causing the demonic energy attributes in their bodies to be madly pulled. "It's over. It's over." The leader of the Black Dragon evil sect looked desperate. At this moment, an elder was enveloped by the suppressed demonic energy, and a heart-wrenching scream of pain came out. That cry was like being in hell. Crack, crack. The sound of bones breaking came, and pieces of flesh and blood were crushed under the demonic energy. Li Qingyang and others twitched at the corners of their mouths. The gloomy attribute that permeated was just like a meat grinder. Whoosh, whoosh. An elder was decomposed. The demonic attribute in his body was completely absorbed by Yao Mengying, and the gloomy light in his bright eyes became more intense. Whoosh. The demonic energy was still shrinking and pressing down. No. The remaining 3 elders were trapped together and could not escape at all. In the end, they were swallowed by the demonic energy, and their own energy was completely absorbed by Yao Mengying. Whoosh. The wind was howling, and the black hair was blown up. The slightly childish face of Yao Mengying was replaced by gloom. Li Qingyang and others looked a little creepy, especially Xiao Zuji. He was closest to Yao Mengying and felt the violent demonic energy. He instantly felt that the little sister in front of him seemed to have become a different person. Not a human. It's more like a demon. Li Qingyang and others witnessed with their own eyes that 4 evil sect masters were wiped out by Yao Mengying's released attributes alone. To be honest, in their state at that time, they might not be sure to fight alone. Is this the innate demon body? Is this a demon cultivator? Terrible. It's really terrible. No wonder the famous and upright sects issued a demon killing order thousands of years ago. Whoosh. The gloomy demonic energy is still pressing on the Black Dragon evil sect's leader, who is extremely shocked. Perhaps his spirit is greatly stimulated, causing him to have an illusion that the demonic energy emanating from behind Yao Mengying gradually turns into a huge black shadow, exuding an aura that cannot be disobeyed. Swish. The black shadow suddenly opened his eyes, flashing a red light, as if the demon king sleeping in the darkness suddenly woke up, and the supreme aura he exuded almost stopped the Black Dragon evil sect's breathing. Plop. His legs went limp, and he knelt down, begging in a trembling voice, I'm willing to be a servant. Please spare me, my life. You hurt my brother. Yao Mengying's black hair was flying, as if she was going into a rampage state. She said, you must die. Whoosh, demonic energy surged in from all directions and directly enveloped the leader of the Black Dragon Evil Sect. Before dying, a voice from hell seemed to come from the gloomy power. You are not qualified to be this emperor's servant. The demonic energy squeezed in, generating a strong crushing force, and the Black Dragon Evil Sect's leader's scream suddenly resounded throughout the forest. Crack, crack, whoosh, whoosh. After killing the Black Dragon Evil Sect leader, a stream of spiritual energy emerged into Yao Mengying's body. At the same time, the demonic energy that permeated the mountains and fields also began to converge crazily and soon disappeared. Yao Mengying shook her head and said, their attributes are too bad. Xiao Zhuge's mouth twitched, relying only on the diffused attributes to kill 5 martial kings. The little junior sister is really terrible. Let's go. Li Qingyang flew over and said in a deep voice, eliminate the Black Dragon Evil Sect as soon as possible and don't leave a single one alive. The little junior sister burst out with demonic energy. The situation is very serious. Swish. Swish. Li Qingyang, Suzaomo and Hiwudi hurriedly flew to the ruined sect. With the death of the sect leader and the elders, the remaining thousands of disciples had no power to fight and were soon slaughtered. While cleaning the battlefield, Suzaomo found a huge dark room with countless bodies drained of blood, including young people, old people, and young children. It must be the villagers who disappeared from the village. Li Qingyang said. Damn it. Suzaomo clenched his fist and said angrily, they didn't even let the children go. They are a group of beasts. Hoo-hoo. The hot flames rose, not only burning the entire Black Dragon Evil Sect, but also burning the sins they committed in their lifetime. Yao Mengying's demonic energy burst out, and no outsiders knew about it, because those who knew were all dead. Are you sure? Jun Changxiao said in the hall. Li Qingyang said, as long as all the disciples in the Black Dragon Evil Sect are eliminated, no one will know. That's good. Jun Changxiao was still very relieved about this second disciple. Indeed, Yao Mengying released demonic energy, and no one in the outside world knew. However, the destruction of the Black Dragon Evil Sect could not be hidden. It spread in the southern wasteland province within a few days, and all the major sects rushed to the scene. Who did it? How can a 5th-rate evil sect disappear just like that? It's incredible. The powerful men from all walks of life looked at the sect that was reduced to ashes under the fire, and their eyes widened. In the area where Yao Mengying and the 5 masters of the evil sect fought, there stood a monk in his early 20s, exuding a strong sandalwood scent. Swish. He picked up a rotten leaf and placed it in his palm, and it immediately produced a golden light. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The leaf gradually trembled, and then a curl of black arrows. Pa. The handsome monk clenched his palm and said in a firm tone, there must have been a demon cultivator here. Buzz. He waved his hand, and the Buddhist beads in his hand flew up and instantly hung in the air. A stream of golden light poured out, covering the area eroded by the demonic energy. Hiss. The dry grass and trees were enveloped by the holy light, and wisps of black air flew out and were purified. Amitabha. The monk clasped his hands and said, the evil spirit of this demon cultivator is very strong. I must find him and convert him, so that he will not continue to cause harm to the world. Chapter 683, Overcoming Difficulties. The handsome monk walked out of the forest, where the Black Dragon Evil Sect was located. He did not tell the sect forces in the southern wasteland state about the appearance of the demon cultivator, because he had to come in person to exorcise the demons. Swish. A white fluffy kitten rushed over and landed on his shoulder, saying, where are we going? Can it speak human language? Could it be a spiritual beast comparable to the king of martial arts? No. The little guy's strength is only at the low level, and he speaks human language because he has this ability. To speak human language, at least you have a spiritual beast, but the mutant beast can open up its spiritual intelligence in advance. The psychic cat is one of them. This kind of pet-like little guy is not very strong, and can even be described as a 5-star scum in combat, but it can communicate normally with humans not long after it is born. God gave it a cute appearance and the right to speak, and naturally deprived it of its combat power. Of course. The biggest advantage of the psychic cat is that its sense of smell is extremely developed. The little guy standing on the monk's shoulder sniffed gently and said in surprise, "You have a demonic aura on you. Could it be that a demon cultivator has appeared in the forest? The nose is really smart. You were outside, didn't you smell any evil spirit?" the monk asked. "No," the psychic cat said. "Maybe it doesn't come in or out from here." The monk took it around the forest, but still found nothing. Strange. The psychic cat wondered. There is obviously demonic energy. Why are there no clues nearby? Could it be that guy flew away? The monk said, "The other party has strong demonic energy, and his strength may have reached the emperor level." TSK. The psychic cat said, "This level of demon cultivator is not something you can deal with. Why bother looking for him?" "Because," the monk said with a firm look, "this is my responsibility." "Okay." The psychic cat scratched his face and said, "You are a qualified Buddhist cultivator, but you are too obsessed with sacrificing yourself to save others. Sooner or later, you will die at the hands of a demon cultivator. Amitabha." The monk put his hands together and said, "If I don't go to hell, who will?" The psychic cat said, "What's next?" "Look for it." "Where to look?" "Starfall continent. You may not find it, even when your hair grows to your waist," the monk said without saying a word. That guy is wearing a cassock. Could he be a Buddhist martial artist? During the battle between good and evil 10,000 years ago, Buddhism lost a large number of top warriors and gradually declined. I didn't expect someone to take this path. Strange. Why does that guy have hair? Shouldn't he have a shaved head? Could he be a fake? The monk stopped, turned around and roared at the warriors in the distance. "I'm practicing with hair. I'm practicing with hair. I'm practicing with hair." Hoo-hoo. There was a certain power in the voice, which resonated with the space and instantly formed a strong penetrating force, shocking the blood of the warriors hundreds of feet away. A middle-aged man exclaimed, "Great sound, lion roaring skill." "Amitabha." The monk controlled his emotions and apologized. "I'm rude." Swish. He waved his sleeves and left. That night, the monk sat cross-legged in the cave, holding Buddhist beads and silently reciting scriptures. 10,000 years ago, after the demon killing order was issued, the Buddhist martial artists took the lead. Although the demon emperor was destroyed in that war, the vitality of the Buddhist masters was greatly damaged, and there was a serious gap. Until now, there are few Buddhist practitioners. It is rare for this person to be a Buddhist practitioner. Aha, the psychic cat yawned beside him. It has known this monk for a long time. He has been used to chanting scriptures before going to bed every day. The monk's name is Dunan. According to him, it was given by an old monk, which means to help sentient beings overcome disasters. Dunan has no sect or school, and is a casual practitioner. After he became a Buddhist practitioner, what he had to do every day was to practice Buddhism and convert evil demons and heretics so that they would return to the right path and no longer cause trouble to the world. The psychic cat followed Dunan, and it can be said that he had no food to eat, and his life was very miserable. However, the relationship has been cultivated, so they will not leave him, and they depend on each other all the way, living in a place without a fixed place. After chanting, Dunan opened his eyes and said, "I heard that there are many evil sects in Huaiyang County. Tomorrow we will go to Yangzhou in the southwest." He not only has to deal with the demon cultivators, but also the evil cultivators. In the past few years, countless evil warriors have fallen into the hands of this Buddhist cultivator. Of course, if you offend too many people, you will definitely be hunted down by a group. So Dunan appeared in Nanhuangzhou, not to travel, but to seek refuge. "Okay," the psychic cat said, "I hope there are no masters in Huaiyang County, otherwise we will have to run away again." "It's okay," Dunan said. "Huaiyang County is only an 8th level county, and the evil cultivators there must not be too strong." "I hope so." The psychic cat said this, and muttered in his heart. Last time he said that Tengan County was of a low level, but he was hunted down by a strong man for half a month, and he almost went to the paradise to see the Buddha. The next day, the weather was refreshing. Dunan took the psychic cat along the mountain road, all the way to Huaiyang County in Yangzhou, southwest China. Eternal Sect. Jun Changxiao flipped through the yellowed ancient books that Li Qingyang collected from the Black Dragon Evil Sect's treasure house. Among them, there is a secret book of the mind called Bloodthirsty Great Method. What do you think? Jun Changxiao threw the book to Wu Zisheng. After browsing it for a while, he said, "This should be a magic mind method. It is really unacceptable to cultivate by absorbing the essence and blood of others. If the demon cultivators in the past were so extreme, it is natural to be destroyed." Jun Changxiao said. Wu Zisheng shook his head and said, "This is only a very small number. As far as I know, although the demon emperor practiced the magic martial arts, he was an upright person." Really? Jun Changxiao was surprised that a demon cultivator was upright. He took back the bloodthirsty great method and did not plan to put it in the Gangfa pavilion for his disciples to practice. After all, cultivating by absorbing the essence and blood of others was too cruel. Continue to flip through other ancient books. Most of the records on them are also about things that happened thousands of years ago. Jun Changxiao looked very carefully, hoping to find the remnants of the demon sect that separated from the demon emperor sect. Recently, the mysterious masked warrior has not appeared, but he will definitely not forget it. As long as he finds any clues and determines the location, he will definitely retaliate. Waiting for others to cause trouble is not Jun Changxiao's style. Whenever there is a chance, he must turn the passive into the active. And this evil sect that practices the magic cultivation method may have records. I really found it. A note from the first leader of the Black Dragon Evil Sect wrote, "Thousands of years ago, I found a cave on the Black Mountain Cliff and obtained the bloodthirsty method from it. This may be related to the powerful demon sect that separated from the demon emperor sect back then. Although there are only a few paragraphs, it is the only clue I have collected about the remnants of the demon sect during this period." Jun Chang smiled and said, "Do you know about the Black Mountain Cliff?" Black Mountain Cliff. Wu Zisheng said solemnly, "This is the second battlefield where the righteous and evil fought each other 10,000 years ago. It has long been closed and has become one of the forbidden areas of Xinjiang continent. Can't enter?" Jun Chang smiled. Wu Zisheng said, "You can enter, but the demonic energy inside is too strong, and it is easy to get possessed." "Where is it?" Jun Chang smiled. Wu Zisheng was silent for a moment and said, "In Zhangzhou." Chapter 684, Developing a Sideline Business. Zhangzhou is located in the Xinjiang continent and is also the strongest state. The attributes of heaven and earth there are extremely strong, and countless masters in the pride of heaven have been nurtured. Martial artists in other states who have reached the level of Wu Wang may be quite awesome, but they will become very ordinary in Zhangzhou. Of course, it is impossible for Wu Wang to be everywhere and Wu Emperor to be as numerous as dogs. Zhangzhou is far ahead of other states, at least in terms of overall strength. The Black Mountain Cliff mentioned in ancient books is in Zhangzhou, and it is also the second battlefield where the righteous and the evil fought 10,000 years ago. What about the first battlefield? Naturally, it is the location of the Demon Emperor sect. After the Xinjiang continent was separated, Zhangzhou has always been the most central area of the world. The Demon Emperor chose this place as the second battlefield to engage in fierce battles with many top sects, which is also very powerful. Awesome. Jun Changxiao was quite impressed when he learned about it. This kind of courage, to lead the people, to fight against various sects in the strongest state, is indeed a model for our generation to learn from. System. Who the hell has nothing to do? Go and learn to be an enemy of the entire continent. According to the notes left by the first leader of the Black Dragon Evil Sect, the bloodthirsty method is related to the remnants of the separated demon sect, so Jun Changxiao planned to go to the Black Mountain Cliff. But not now. Because the dragon and tiger contest is about to take place, he needs to focus on it. What's more, this world famous sect competition ceremony happens to be held in Zhangzhou province. When the time comes, he can go and take a look. After making a plan, Sect Master Jun suppressed the urge to run to other states to die. Sect Master Li Qingyang said, "Elder Zhao is here to see you. Please." Jun Changxiao said, "The certification hall sent someone here at this time. It should be related to the dragon and tiger contest." Sure enough, Elder Zhao entered the hall and got back to the point. As soon as he sat down, Sect Master Jun, the Dragon and Tiger contest is getting closer and closer. Is your sect ready? Ready. Jun Changxiao said. Elder Zhao said, the owner asked me to ask, when you are ready to set off? About half a month before the start. Jun Changxiao said. He would not go there early. After all, he had to let his disciples use the remaining few months to improve their cultivation faster and then win the first place in the Dragon and Tiger contest. The various forces participating in the sect competition are nothing more than getting good results. This guy's good. He went straight for the championship. Jun Changxiao meant that, since my Wangu sect is participating, I will go for the first place, otherwise I will be no different from the salted fish author who does not update. Elder Zhao said, there are many sects participating in this Dragon and Tiger contest. The owner hopes that Master Jun can take his disciples to go first, so as not to miss the opportunity. Jun Changxiao was speechless. Master Yi is worried that he will stand him up. How about this? Jun Changxiao said, I will take my disciples to go there a month in advance. That's good. Elder Zhao bowed and said, I will take my leave first. Elder Zhao has come a long way. Why don't you stay and have a simple meal before leaving? Okay. Jun Changxiao was stunned. I just said it casually. You are too rude. After dinner, Elder Zhao said goodbye and left. Jun Changxiao sat in the hall and began to plan his next move. He participated in the Dragon and Tiger contest only for Master Yi's sake. After this matter was over, he had to consider the subsequent development of the sect. The intelligence agency needs to be vigorously developed. The construction of the branch has just started, and there is still a long way to go. A few days later, the branch of the Wangu sect and the animal feed store are blooming everywhere in Bimozhao. The most lively one is Huangsha City, because Jun Changxiao personally went to Bimozhao to attend the opening ceremony, and the leader of the Kangsha sect and the leader of the Chengfeng sect, and others brought gifts to congratulate. All big guys. This Wangu sect is so powerful. Many warriors competed to discuss, and everyone realized that the once unknown force has now become a giant. With the opening of the branch and the opening of the animal feed store, the business of the Wangu sect and the Bimozhao forces was completely established. According to the cooperation agreement established by both parties, the 10 major sects will transport a wide variety of ores from the local area to Qinghai County at a fixed time every month. On the other side, the AI family is also expanding its business territory, and the main business is medicinal materials, which will also provide Jun Changxiao with more medicinal materials and seeds. Ores can be used to refine equipment, and medicinal materials can be used to refine pills. These two are definitely one of the important factors for the continuous strengthening of the Wangu sect. Of course, because the demand is extremely high, it also costs a lot of money. Relying solely on the animal feed store can only support it for a period of time. With more and more disciples and more demands, it is definitely not sustainable. We have to develop a side business. Jun Changxiao said. The system said, as long as the host is willing to take out more advanced pills for the AI family to sell, will there be a shortage of money? Jun Changxiao shook his head and said, after all, the AI family is too weak. Giving them high-level pills to sell may eventually lead to their own deaths. We have to find it. He paused and said, we have to find a stronger business partner. The system said, as of now, the strongest business in Xinjiang continent is the Tang family. I've heard of it. Jun Changxiao is no longer a rookie who has just arrived, and he has a certain understanding of the things on the continent. Tang family. A large family that has been doing business for generations and is rich enough to rival a country. The Qinghai County Spirit Stone shop was opened by the Tang family. This family mainly deals in spirit stones, but it also has involvement in other industries. It is a well-developed business empire. Jun Changxiao wants to find a business partner, and the Tang family is undoubtedly the most suitable. Someone asked, why doesn't he do it himself? Managing a sect is tiring enough. If you develop a side business, you really won't have time to pick up girls in the future. Finding a powerful business family using their brand and perfect channels will undoubtedly make you rich faster. What a pity. Jun Changxiao said, how can I contact someone who doesn't know the Tang family? If you have any questions, find Li Luo Qiu. Tang family? Li, the head of the hall, held his chin and said, some time ago, there seemed to be intelligence about this family. I ordered people to check it out. Yes. Jun Changxiao said with a smile. Li Luoqiu ordered the members to look through the files. Soon, they found the intelligence about the Tang family that was sent some time ago. Xiao Tang receives a lot of intelligence information every day. Unless it is particularly important, she usually does not report it, because it is a waste of time. Master, Li Luoqiu said, according to the intelligence, the second son of the Tang family will come to Yangzhou in the southwest, to inspect the work in the middle of this month. Mid-month. Jun Changxiao said in surprise, isn't it coming soon? Yes. Li Luoqiu said, he should be on his way. Do you have any specific information about the second son? Jun Changxiao said with a smile. Li Luoqiu shook his head and said, we in Xiao Tang have not yet developed our intelligence network to Zhangzhou, so we don't know for the time being. The AI family should know. Jun Changxiao arranged the affairs of the sect and went to Huayang City in person. The second son of the Tang family? In the herbal medicine store, AI Shangni shook his head and said, I have heard of this man. He is quite accomplished in business and is highly valued by the head of the Tang family. It is said that he intends to make him one of the family successors. 1. Jun Changxiao asked, are there many successors? Yes. The head of the AI family said, the Tang family is prosperous and has many second and third generation direct descendants. As far as I know, there are more than 10 future family successors. More than 10. Jun Changxiao murmured. The head of the Tang family suddenly passed away. Won't these successors fight for the position of head of the family? AI Shangna's mouth twitched. My Jun Zhangzu, you dare to say anything. Chapter 685. This is very embarrassing. Jun Changxiao chatted with AI Shangni for a while before returning to the sect and ordered Li Luoqiu to focus on instructing the second son of the Tang family who was about to come. It's confirmed. Let's do business with the Tang family. Since this second son is good at business, it should be good to cooperate with him. Of course. This kind of business family must be arrogant, and it would be difficult to impress them without some good things. What to sell? Jun Changxiao began to think about it. In terms of elixirs, the first grade key gathering pill can be sold. After all, the required medicinal materials are not many, and large-scale mass production and supply can be achieved. Middle-grade healing pills and detoxification pills are auxiliary products. They will not improve martial arts, so they can also be sold. Sect Master Jun will not be impulsive and sell all kinds of elixirs, especially middle-grade key gathering pills, body-shaping pills and soul-shaping pills. The first-grade hand feng sword is also okay. When a large amount of orphan B Mozhao is transported to the sect and more high-quality weapons are refined, the hand mang sword will definitely be a discarded product, and it is appropriate to sell it. Sect Master Jun is confident enough that once this weapon refined by the system is on the market, it will definitely be favored by many warriors. It's decided. He plans to use the first grade key gathering pill, the middle grade healing medicine, the detoxification pill and the first grade cold sword as bargaining chips for cooperation. Jun Changxiao said with a smile, with the Tang family's brand and channels, once these 4 things open up the market, I will be sitting on the Kang and counting money until my hands cramp. Sect Master Li Luoqiu walked in and said, I just got the information that the second son of the Tang family is coming from Xianzhou and is expected to arrive at Xianyu Royal City in 2 days. Should I go to greet him first? Jun Changxiao touched his chin. The system said speechlessly, this guy is looking for trouble again. Yes. Jun Changxiao started to be a jerk. Instead of taking the initiative to get to know the second son of the Tang family, it is better to create a wonderful encounter. For example, let the disciples pretend to be robbers to attack and appear on the scene at the critical moment to create a mighty and chivalrous sect master of the eternal sect. In danger, the nobleman came to the rescue. The second son of the Tang family must have hugged his thigh and cried with gratitude. Pa. Jun Changxiao covered his face and laughed strangely. Ha ha ha, I'm really a talent. The system was speechless. This is not a talent, this is a super bitch. In fact, Jun Changxiao can't be blamed. The reason for doing so is also due to many considerations. It is unknown who the second son of the Tang family is. He can use this robbery to test him. Find someone to talk about business and rob to test him. Jun Changxiao, you are a dog. If the poor second son of the Tang family knew, he would definitely say, there is a sentence, I don't know whether I should say it or not. Swish, swish. On the two sides of the official road in Xianzhou, dozens of warriors in black clothes and masks flew over, and then hid in the dark. Second brother. Suzaomo transmitted the voice. Is there a big action? The lord suddenly summoned everyone, put on black clothes, and covered their faces, and then hurried to Xianzhou, making him think that he was going to do something big. It is likely to be exciting assassination. Li Qingyang said, I don't know much either. Li Fei said excitedly, I have been practicing all this time. It's time to practice. Listen carefully. Jun Changxiao, who was hiding in the dark, transmitted the message to the group. There will be several luxury carriages passing by later. Your task is to pretend to be robbers and stop them. As soon as this was said, Li Qingyang and others were stunned. Pretend to be robbers? Sect master. Suzaomo said speechlessly, are you serious, or are you kidding? Seriously. Wearing black clothes and covering your face, thinking that you are going to carry out an assassination, but ending up being a robber. This is too embarrassing. Alas. Since you are on the pirate ship of the sect master, you can only be a thief. On the official road of Xianzhou, occasionally there will be warriors or businessmen passing by, but no one has discovered the disciples of the eternal sect. Why haven't you come yet? After waiting for a long time, the target still didn't appear. Jun Changxiao couldn't help, but complained in his heart, could the intelligence be wrong? Or has the second son of Tang changed his route? At this moment, within the range of dozens of miles, where the spiritual thoughts were released, several luxurious carriages came galloping. The horses responsible for pulling the carriages were stepping on the wind vortex under their feet, which was very handsome. This was the 1,000-mile chasing wind horse. When Zijingxuan went to Nanhuangzhou, she bought it specially, but she didn't use it. It was taken away by Jun Changxiao. The 4 galloping carriages were hung with flags with the word Tang engraved on them. Here they come, here they come. Jun Changxiao hurriedly ordered, be sure to stop the 4 carriages. Yes. The disciples received the order. However, it was the first time to do robbery, and they had to pretend, which made them a little unfamiliar and nervous. Trample, 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 trample. Before long, the 4 luxurious carriages had reached the ambush circle. It's the Tang family's carriage. When the pedestrians on the road saw the big words engraved on the flag, their faces suddenly changed, and they subconsciously made way to the sides. Although the Tang family is mainly engaged in business, they have a wide network of contacts, and have hired many masters to take charge. Their strength is not inferior to that of first and second-rate sects. Sect Master Jun valued this point, and decided to do business with the Tang family, because the things he sells are a bit high-end, and only such a big family can hold it. Tap, tap, tap. More than 10,000-mile chasing wind horses walked along the official road. In the carriage leading the way, there was an old man with sharp eyes, and his brows suddenly frowned, because there was a masked man in black standing on the official road blocking the only way. Something has happened. He shouted in a deep voice. Swish, swish, swish. Several powerful warriors with high cultivation level walked out of the carriages behind, their eyes locked on the man in black. As veterans, they instantly determined that someone was trying to rob people on the road. Dare to stop my Tang family's car. The old man in the front shouted coldly, looking for death. Hoo-hoo. He leaped up and stopped in midair. The aura of the king of martial arts completely burst out and instantly condensed a big hand to press down on the man in black. Step. Ziozuji took a step forward and swung his right fist violently. Buzz buzz buzz. Layers of earth attributes diffused out, and the condensed and materialized fists blasted over. Bang. The fist print was extremely powerful and directly broke the palm print. The old man who performed the move was directly shaken away and staggered on the official road, his eyes filled with horror. The earth attribute has always been mainly defensive, and the man in black could burst out such a strong attack power. His physical body must be extraordinary. Hiss, hiss, hiss. At this moment, the sound of horses was heard. Dozens of quietly chasing wind horses were entangled by vines under their feet, and their whole bodies could not move. Swish, swish, Li Qingyang and others rushed out. Although it was a feint, they had to show their performance, so they released their murderer Sora one by one, instantly covering this official road area. The 4 martial kings of the Tang family would naturally not sit and wait for death, and they flew out one after another. Boom. Boom. The disciples of the eternal ancient sect instantly fought with them. In terms of strength, the martial kings of the Tang family are quite strong, but Li Qingyang and others are also not bad, and there are more people, so they were quickly knocked to the ground one after another. Hehe. Suzaomo laughed strangely. Second young master of the Tang family, if you don't want any mistakes, please come out. Swish. The curtain of the carriage in the middle was lifted. A handsome young man walked out, bowed his hands in a gentle manner and smiled. I'm Tang Ren. What can I ask? Nonsense. Suzaomo shouted. Of course it's robbery. This. Swish. Suzaomo didn't waste any words, gathered the spiritual energy in his palm, and rushed over with the Zangan step. Young master, be careful. Several injured Tang family martial kings said in surprise. Boom. A loud explosion was heard. Suzaomo, who rushed over, flew out immediately, smashed more than 10 large trees, and then collapsed on the ground with convulsions all over his body. Li Qingyang, Xiao Zuji and others mourned for him for 3 seconds. Several Tang family martial kings were dumbfounded, and they all turned their heads to look over, and saw a young man in white clothes standing in front of the young master, with a spring breeze bathing smile on his face. Swish. Jun Changxiao waved his sleeves and said, in this bright and clear world, you actually robbed. Is there still any law? This behavior, this action so handsome. Thank you, Sect Master Jun, for helping me. The second son of the Tang family behind him bowed and said, seeing injustice on the road, and drawing your sword to help. This is the martial arts world. Wait. Jun Changxiao was startled and asked, do you know me? More than that. The second son of the Tang family looked at Li Qingyang, and said with a smile, if I'm not mistaken, this masked young man should be the second disciple of your sect, right? This young man exudes a heavy aura. He should be Xiao Zuji. The one who was knocked away has strong footwork. He should be Suzaomo. The second son of the Tang family reported the names of the masked disciples of the Wangu sect one by one. Jun Changxiao's expression was very interesting. He led his disciples to pretend to rob, and he rescued them to make a good relationship, but was discovered by others. This was very embarrassing. Chapter 686. The second young master of the Tang family. Let the disciples pretend to rob, and then take action at the critical moment, and then establish a revolutionary friendship with the second son of the Tang family. What a wonderful plot. In pursuit of a more realistic effect, Suzaomo was directly blown away and almost fainted on the spot. However, what was not planned was that the second son of the Tang family actually recognized Li Qingyang and others. It was not difficult to hear from his words that he had a deep understanding of the disciples of the eternal sect. The most painful thing in the world is that I'm acting, and he is watching the show. At that moment, Jun Changxiao, who was standing in front, had an extremely wonderful expression on his face, and he wanted to dig a crack in the ground and drill into it. It was so embarrassing, so embarrassing. Ahahaha. The system laughed gloatingly. Seeing the super shameless host embarrassed, it made it so happy that it felt that life had reached its peak. Master Jun. Tang Ren smiled and said, if I guessed correctly, you brought disciples here and pretended to be a man in black. You should be testing the strength of our Tang family, right? He had a gentle smile from beginning to end. Master, great master. No. Jun Changxiao did not walk down the steps given by Tang Ren, but turned around and said, this is the welcome ceremony that I specially prepared for Mr. Tang. The basic quality of a shameless person is, no matter what time or situation, you must remain calm. Welcome ceremony? Tang Ren smiled. It's quite unique. That's a must. Jun Changxiao bowed and said, it's not easy for Mr. Tang to come to Yangzhou in the southwest, so I naturally have to welcome him well. The corners of the mouths of several injured martial kings of the Tang family twitched. Let the disciples pretend to be robbers and suddenly rescue them. Even a fool can see this routine. Please don't pretend anymore, okay? All disciples, listen to my order. Jun Changxiao said loudly. Welcome Mr. Tang with warm applause. Pa pa pa. All the disciples quickly gathered together, then clapped their hands and shouted, welcome, welcome, warm welcome. They shouted this, but they were embarrassed in their hearts. Because they haven't trained themselves to be as hard-faced as the sect master. Tang Ren said with a smile. This kind of welcome ceremony really opened Tang's eyes. Mr. Tang. Jun Changxiao said seriously, the world has been in turmoil recently. This time, I came not only to welcome you, but also to protect you, so that you can enter Southwest Yangzhou smoothly. I actually meant to exercise it just now. System. Such a super embarrassing scene was forcibly turned around by him. How thick-skinned must he be? Besides, how could the second son of the Tang family, who has been struggling in the business world, be fooled by you? Thank you, Sect Master Jun. Tang Ren bowed. Damn. He really believed it? Mr. Tang. Jun Changxiao said, please get in the car. This seat and his disciples will personally escort you to Southwest Yangzhou. Thank you. Tang Ren got on the carriage. Ta ta ta. Dozens of thousand-mile chasing wind horses galloped again, and the disciples of the eternal ancient sect followed the convoy on hurricane wolves. On the road, Jun Changxiao secretly said, this is a smart man. Tang Ren's knowledge of the eternal sect and his calmness are totally incomparable to that of a dandy boy. Nonsense. The system said, if he were a fool, how could he become one of the heirs of a big family? Jun Changxiao said, it's good to do business with such a person, but you have to be careful to avoid being taken advantage of by him. Master Jun. At this moment, Tang Ren's voice came to his ears. Tang came to Yangzhou in the southwest to inspect the work this time, and the first stop is Qingyang County, where your sect is located. Jun Changxiao was stunned. This guy can actually transmit sound, and his cultivation must be at the level of the king of martial arts. He is only a few years older than me, but he has such a cultivation. He is worthy of being a direct descendant of the top family in Xinjiang continent. Oh. Jun Changxiao said, Sir Tang, don't you want to go to Xianyu King City first? For a big family like the Tang family, the headquarters of the branch riders set up in various states must be in the King City. It really surprised him to go to the remote Qingyang County first. I heard that the AI family in Qingyang County has been selling special elixirs in recent years. I'm very curious, so I want to go and take a look. Tang Ren said. I see. Jun Changxiao smiled heartily and said, I'm very familiar with the road to Qingyang County. Tang Ren said, it seems that Sect Master Jun is the deputy governor of Qingyang County, right? Jun Changxiao's eyebrows became alert and said, young Master Tang even knows about this kind of thing. It seems that he has collected a lot of information about me and the Wangu sect. Tang Ren said, Sect Master Jun is in charge of a large sect at a young age. I admire him very much, so I will pay more attention to him on weekdays. Is this telling himself that there is no malice? Dealing with smart people is tiring, because you have to analyze the hidden meaning of each other's words and deeds at any time. Young Master Tang. Jun Changxiao said, I'm a rough man, and don't like beating around the bush. It's better to say it openly. System. You are rough as hell. You are smarter than a monkey and meaner than Jiang Hu. Okay. Tang Ren said straightforwardly. Master Jun brought his disciples to practice a robbery scene. There must be a purpose, right? Damn it. I asked him to speak directly, but he let me speak first. He really has a way. In this case, let's be frank. Jun Changxiao didn't want to beat around the bush with a smart person. It would be very tiring, so he said straightforwardly, I brought my disciples to meet you this time because I want to discuss a business with Mr. Tang. Oh, what business? It was not difficult to hear from Tang Ren's tone that he was very interested. A businessman. Who doesn't like business? Jun Chang smiled and said, I have some elixirs and weapons here, and I want to sell them through the channels of Mr. Tang's family. Tang Ren said, although my Tang family is involved, it is difficult to compare with other families that focus on this industry. I'm afraid it will be difficult to satisfy Master Jun. That's right. Jun Chang smiled and said, the Tang family mainly deals in spirit stones, so naturally they look down on industries like elixirs and weapons that don't have too high profits. He was right. The profit of spirit stones is extremely large. The Tang family focuses on this, and other industries are nothing more than foils. Tang Ren smiled and said, if Master Jun values my Tang family so much, Tang is very willing to cooperate with Master Jun. So, Mr. Tang came to Yangzhou in the southwest this time, not to inspect the work, but to visit my Wangu sect? Jun Changxiao asked suddenly. Knowing himself and the sect so well, he didn't think that the other party was just here to inspect the work. Tang Ren said with a smile, the Wangu sect has recently become famous and has been rated as one of the top 3. I have admired it for a long time, so I took this business trip to visit it. Damn. I have been busy for nothing. It's a good thing they took the initiative to find you. Thinking of pretending to be a robber and coming out to rescue him, but being exposed, Sect Master Jun's face suddenly turned red. There is no need to explain the embarrassing life. Sect Master Jun. Tang Ren said, business matters will be discussed in detail when we arrive at your sect. Okay. Jun Changxiao said cheerfully. Since the other party came to visit him on purpose, the business should be easy to negotiate. Swish. Swish. At this moment, on the official road that was about to enter the territory of Yangzhou in the southwest, a series of black shadows flew out from the darkness and completely blocked the way. Jun Changxiao frowned. Sect Master Jun. Tang Ren said, are these disciples of your sect again? Chapter 687. Absolute suppression under the key domain. It was embarrassing to be exposed as a pretend robber. It was even more embarrassing to have another group of robbers come and be thought to be his own disciples. Sect Master Jun was in a terrible mood. Swish. Swish. Dozens of men in black appeared behind him, up to 100 of them. They had one thing in common, that is, they all wore strange masks. This was the dark sect forces that had repeatedly targeted him. Jun Changxiao frowned. Are they here to intercept the second son of the Tang family, or are they here to intercept him? Whoosh, nearly 100 men in black stood on the official road, bursting with a gloomy aura, and the Qianli Zufeng horse was frightened and stopped, and its limbs trembled with fear. Jun Changxiao immediately understood that they were here to intercept the second son of the Tang family. Swish. Swish. The hurricane wolves ridden by Li Qingyang and others were not disturbed and quickly rushed over to completely protect the 4 carriages. Mr. Tang. Jun Changxiao said in a deep voice, this is not a drill. Tang Zhao immediately realized that they were not disciples of the Eternal Sect, but real robbers. Ah. He shook his head and said, I finally got out of the house. Why are there so many things? Jun Chang smiled and said, young Master Tang is a walking wallet, so he will naturally be targeted by those who have ulterior motives. In the Xinjiang continent, the most important thing is martial arts resources. Money can buy these things, so many warriors will take risks to rob the rich. The one sitting in the car is the second son of the Tang family, the masked man in the lead said. But he was wondering in his heart. The intelligence said that the direct descendants of the Tang family went to Yangzhou in the southwest this time, and they did not bring many people. How could there be so many now? Yes. Tang Ren said, I'm Tang Ren, what can I do for you? The masked man in the lead said, my master wants to discuss business with young Master Tang, and sent me to invite you. Sorry. Tang Ren said, Tang has to go to Yangzhou in the southwest to inspect the work, so I don't have time for the time being. These black-clothed people who blocked the road were much more sinister than Jun Changxiao's disciples. If they really followed them, they would definitely go without returning. Young Master Tang. The masked man said in a cold voice, please don't embarrass me. Tang Ren said, please report to your master that, if you want to do business, you can go to my Tang family to discuss. Hey. The masked man raised his hand and said, young Master Tang is so uncooperative, don't blame me for being rude. Swish. Swish. Nearly 100 men in black rushed over, and the strong aura burst out, making this official road extremely depressing. Several martial kings of the Tang family looked ugly. There were several high-level martial kings with strong auras in this group of people. It would be difficult for a few of them to compete with them alone. Especially the black-clad man at the head. Judging from the pervasive momentum, I'm afraid he has reached the level of martial emperor. Sending such a Linoop to hijack the young master must be a very powerful force. Haha. The opportunity has come. Jun Changxiao jumped up and landed on the roof of the carriage, standing with his hands behind his back and said, "In this bright and clear world, you are robbing. Is there any law? This action, this behavior, super handsome." The corners of the disciples' mouths twitched. Hoo-hoo, a terrifying pressure erupted from the body of Sect Master Jun, spreading around like a flood. Nearly 100 black-clothed masked men who rushed over were affected and stood still in an instant, as if they had turned into wooden statues. "Martial Emperor!" the leader exclaimed. Tang Ren secretly said, "What a strong key domain. There are also Emperor-level strongmen in the family, but to release such a degree of key domain, it must be at least 6th grade or above. Sect Master Jun is not very old, but he has such a profound cultivation. No wonder he can turn a low-ranking sect into a top 3 sect in a short time. This time I came to visit, right?" Hoo-hoo, the majestic key domain pressed over like a dark cloud. The black-clothed man in the lead wanted to escape, but had no time at all, until he was completely enveloped. His body gradually stiffened, and finally couldn't move at all. He is a 2nd grade martial emperor, but in front of Jun Changxiao, let alone fighting, he couldn't even withstand the key domain. Who is this? Why is it not mentioned in the intelligence? Seal off all their meridians for me, Jun Changxiao said coldly. With previous experience, he was worried that the group of black-clothed men would use the escape technique to escape, so he had been suppressing them with the strongest aura. Yes, Li Qingyang and others flew out one after another. However, when they were about to approach the group of masked black-clothed men, they saw their bodies expand rapidly. Not good. Boom. 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 In an instant, continuous explosions were heard on the official road, and gusts of wind were swept up. When everything dissipated, Xiao Zuji spread his hands, and a substantial earth-type wall stood around, successfully resisting the impact of the explosion for his fellow disciples. "Master," Li Qingyang said, "they blew themselves up." Damn it. Jun Changxiao was furious, and then locked his spiritual thoughts on the black-clothed man in the lead. Although it was difficult to see his face because of the mask, his intuition told him that this guy should be laughing hideously at this moment, preparing to self-destruct. Sure enough, the black-clothed man's body expanded rapidly, flashing a dazzling light. Boom, the earth shook, and the wind whistled. The power generated by the self-destruction of an emperor was so powerful that the grass, trees, mountains, and rocks within a radius of 1,000 feet were instantly crushed into powder. However, the 4 carriages were safe and sound, because when the explosion came, Jun Changxiao had already condensed a defensive air wall in advance to protect everyone in it. Whoosh! The strong wind gradually weakened, and a large deep pit was blown out on the official road in front. Damn it! Jun Changxiao removed the defensive air wall and cursed angrily. "I thought that by catching these masked black-clothed men, I could follow the clues to find out the forces existing in the dark, but I didn't expect them to self-destruct all of a sudden. The principle of self-destruction is to communicate with the spirit core with the soul, so as to instantly ignite the energy, causing a destructive force far higher than one's own cultivation. The consequences were also serious, and the soul was directly shattered. Jun Changxiao could suppress them with his key domain, but he could not suppress their souls, so he could only watch the explosion. Of course, he was careless. If he had acted as quickly as possible and knocked out the black-clothed man in the lead, he would not have had the chance to self-explode. Hey. Jun Changxiao shook his head. What made him collapse and unacceptable was that, if you guys want to explode, just explode. At least throw out the space ring, so that my disciples and I can lick the loot. Now, there is not even a piece of rag left under the explosion. Tang Ren jumped out of the car and looked at the deep pit created by the explosion, saying, "Master Jun, who are they? How could they self-explode without hesitation? This kind of self-explosion behavior, it is difficult to do without absolute courage. It may be the Dark Sect," Jun Changxiao said. "Dark Sect?" Tang Ren frowned and said, "This kind of force that exists in the dark rarely appears in the secular world. Why did they come to rob Tang? You ask me. Who should I ask? Mr. Tang." Jun Changxiao said solemnly, "It is not advisable to stay here for long. Please follow me back to the sect." Okay. They set off again. A few hours later, the group entered the Eternal Sect. Master Jun. In the hall, Tang Ren just sat down and bowed his hands in gratitude. Thank you for your help, otherwise I would be in danger this time. Since you and I want to do business, we are friends. When a friend is in trouble, I should help him, Jun Changxiao said. He said this, but in his heart he was thanking the group of dark sect forces that suddenly came out, so that he could finally rescue him as he wished, and form a good relationship. At least, it's not so embarrassing. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 688, The Lonely and Unknown Tang Ren. Jun Changxiao returned to the Eternal Sect, always thinking about the group of black-clothed masked men who kidnapped Tang Ren. One thing is certain, this group of warriors is definitely not the group of people who have appeared before, because they don't know him. Why do you guess so? Because Jun Changxiao has dealt with them many times, and the other party has always suffered losses. If it was the same group of people, they would have recognized him long ago and slipped away, instead of continuing to kidnap Mr. Tang with a stupid face. There is always a martial emperor. How strong is the power of the dark sect? Jun Changxiao murmured. What he couldn't understand the most was, after being suppressed by him, the group of black-clothed masked men did not hesitate to self-destruct. If it was a level of martial sect or martial arts master, it would be understandable. But that's the emperor and king level. How long did it take to grow up? It's too careless to self-destruct when you say it's self-destruction. Or, have you received strict training like a killer? Knowing that you can't escape, and afraid of being tortured and revealing secrets, you can only end your life with death. If so, they are really a group of extreme lunatics. It became increasingly difficult for him and his sect to be targeted by such a dark sect force. Hey. Jun Changxiao rubbed his temple and said, it's annoying. Even facing two third-rate evil sects, he didn't feel so much pressure. Only the dark sect force that he had no clue about made him feel powerless. Master Jun. Tang Ren asked, what are you thinking about? Jun Changxiao came back to his senses and said, Mr. Tang, let's talk about business. Okay. Tang Ren nodded. Swish. Jun Changxiao took out a first grade key gathering pill and said, Mr. Tang, this is a pill refined by my Wangu sect. After taking it, it can increase the speed of spiritual power intake tenfold, and it lasts for 2 hours. Tang Ren's eyes widened. He had never heard of a pill that increases spiritual power intake tenfold. Master Jun. Tang Ren said, are you kidding? Jun Changxiao waved his hand and said, if you don't believe it, you can try it. This. Tang Ren was silent. Jun Chang smiled and said, I really want to do business with Mr. Tang. If there is no trust between us, it will be meaningless. That's right. Tang Ren swallowed the pill without hesitation. He didn't think that the leader of the Eternal Sect would poison the pill because it was too cheap. Hoo-hoo. The pill melted in his mouth. After a while, a stream of energy spread in his body, constantly stimulating the meridians and every inch of skin and pores. Tang Ren circulated the mind method in the big and small Zaoshan, and immediately felt the attributes of heaven and earth gathered in the hall, pouring in like a wave, at least 10 times faster than usual. This pill can really speed up the speed of spiritual power intake. At that moment, the second son of the Tang family was shocked, and his eyes suddenly lit up. Such a powerful pill, once sold in the Xinjiang continent, will definitely cause a huge sensation. Business opportunities. Huge business opportunities. Tang Ren, who was well informed, could not help but exclaimed, incredible, incredible. Jun Changxiao said, Mr. Tang, if this kind of elixir is taken by people who have opened their meridians, martial arts apprentices, or martial arts masters, the effect of absorbing spiritual power will only be better. Although there is no realm limit for the first great key gathering pill, it has been confirmed through practical tests that the higher the realm, the lower the efficiency and absorption time will be. For those above the level of Wu Zhan and Wu Wang, taking the middle great key gathering pill or even higher is the best choice. Jun Changxiao would not consider selling the middle great key gathering pill, because the disciples of the sect are almost not enough, so how could there be any extra to sell? Tang Ren gradually calmed down and said, to be able to refine such a powerful elixir, your sect should have a master with extremely high attainments in alchemy, right? Jun Changxiao smiled but said nothing. Tang Ren said again, if I'm not mistaken, the elixir sold by the AI family should also come from your sect, right? Yes. Jun Changxiao did not deny it. They are all smart people, there is no need to hide. Moreover, letting the second son of the Tang family understand some things can also better establish a cooperative relationship. Jun Changxiao now wanted to speak out his own advantages. If the other party was a qualified businessman, he would definitely take the initiative to cooperate. No wonder. Tang Ren's confusion was revealed. The ordinary AI family in Huayang City suddenly had 2 magical pills, which turned out to be provided by the Eternal Sect. Sect Master Jun asked his disciples to stop him and pretended to rescue him. He should also want to deliberately get close to him and then find a more reliable business partner. The second son of the Tang family is really smart and guessed Jun Changxiao's previous purpose. Sect Master Jun. Tang Ren asked, how many pills are there? Jun Changxiao put his fingers on the table, tapped them for a while, and said with a smile, Mr. Tang, as many as you want. This was very coquettish. The medicinal materials required for the first great key gathering pill are not of high grade and are easy to find. They can be refined 24 hours a day. 100,000? Yes. What about the price? Jun Changxiao said, the pills are provided by my Wangu sect, and Mr. Tang is responsible for providing sales channels and pricing, and then the profits are divided 50 to 50. There is no need to split 30 to 70 or 40 to 60. Just do whatever you want. Okay. Tang Ren said. This kind of pill that can absorb spiritual power 10 times, once it is on the market, will definitely drive warriors crazy. At that time, it will not be difficult to sell one pill for the price of an artificial spiritual stone. Young Master Tang. Jun Changxiao took out another pill and said, this is a healing pill developed by our sect. After taking it, you can recover quickly from your injuries. Tang Ren said, the one sold by the AI family? Jun Changxiao shook his head and said, the one sold by the AI family is only a low-end version, suitable for opening meridians and martial arts apprentices. This healing pill is a high-end version, which can treat martial artists and martial arts masters. Really? Tang Ren was shocked, and his eyes lit up again. I have another detoxification pill here, which can cure all poisons. Jun Changxiao said again. Detoxification? Tang Ren was stunned. Detoxification pills are very common on the market, and most of them can cure a certain poison alone. I have never heard of a detoxification pill that can cure all poisons. The second son of the Tang family, who had been working hard in the business world and was knowledgeable, suddenly felt ignorant when faced with the various pills that Jun Changxiao took out. Master Jun. Tang Ren said, if you have any other good stuff, please take it out and let Tang see it. Pa. Jun Changxiao put the Hanfeng sword on the table and said, Mr. Tang, please evaluate this sword. Swish. Tang Ren took it in his hand and immediately felt a faint chill emanating from the scabbard. Clang. The sword was unsheathed and the chill spread. Tang Ren held the sword horizontally in front of him and gently wiped the sword with 2 fingers, exclaiming, what a good sword. He had seen many weapons at home, but just from the feel and touch, he guessed that the level of the Hanfeng sword must be in the middle and upper level. Especially the workmanship, which is impeccable. Master Jun. Tang Ren said seriously, I'm afraid that even Master Fan may not be able to forge such a perfect sword. Master Fan is a legend in the casting industry of Xingyan continent. Every weapon he forges will be regarded as a treasure. He gave such an evaluation of the Hanfeng sword, which is also very high. Jun Changxiao said, Mr. Tang, there is something I have to say in advance. Please speak. Tang Ren said, if you and I cooperate, please keep the source of the elixirs and weapons confidential. This is to continue the cooperation model with the AI family, not letting the world know that the elixirs and weapons come from the Wangu sect. Tang Ren understood Jun Changxiao's meaning, so he said seriously, please rest assured, Master Jun, I will not tell anyone about the cooperation. Okay. Jun Changxiao said, I will give the sales rights of 3 elixirs and 1 weapon to Mr. Tang. I hope you and I can cooperate happily and create a win-win situation." Both parties took out the paper and drafted a cooperation agreement. Master Jun. After signing and sealing, Tang Ren bowed and said, "It is worthwhile for me to come to visit the Wangu sect." Chapter 689 Tang Ren's thoughts. Although Tang Ren is young, he has been doing business for many years. However, the elixir and weapons that Jun Changxiao took out shocked him deeply because he had never seen or heard of them before. The elixir that can be absorbed 10 times faster, the elixir that can instantly heal the injuries of warriors, the elixir that can dissolve all kinds of poisons, and the sword with impeccable workmanship. Any of these 4 things can cause a sensation if you take them out to sell. Tang Ren, who is temporarily staying in the Wangu sect, thought about it in the room for a whole night, and the more he thought about it, the more he couldn't suppress his excitement. It is undeniable that the Tang family is a very large business empire, but the main business is spirit stones. Although other industries are involved, they have never been able to open up a larger market. It can be said that spirit stones have made the Tang family successful and also restricted the Tang family. Over the years, the top leaders of the family have always discussed how to expand other industries. It's a pity that the industry structure of popular elixirs, weapons, etc. has been stabilized, and it will be difficult to get a share from other families. If the elixir and weapons of the Jun sect master can be mass produced and sold, it will definitely be a huge business opportunity. Tang Ren's eyes were burning. Once the 3 kinds of elixirs are on the market, they will definitely quickly enhance the family's prestige in elixirs and bring very lucrative benefits. As for weapons, Tang Ren is not optimistic. After all, even Master Fan has not cast too many weapons with perfect workmanship in his life. If I can open up the market with 3 kinds of elixirs and get profits that are not inferior to those from spirit stones, it will undoubtedly provide me with greater opportunities. What opportunities? To gain the favor of the old man of the Tang family and inherit the position of the next head of the family. Tang Ren is a talented and ambitious person. He will never be inferior to the direct line of the Tang family. Instead, he wants to be the head of the Tang family to better show his greater ambitions. But in the family, his qualifications and age are too young. Although he is also one of the heirs, he cannot compete with his uncles and cousins who have a wide network of contacts and higher qualifications. If Jun Changxiao's 3 kinds of elixirs can bring more profits and allow the Tang family to open up the elixir market that they have always been involved in but cannot expand, his weight in the heart of the old man of the Tang family will definitely be greatly improved. I came to Southwest Yangzhou just to make friends with Master Jun, but I didn't expect to have such a huge gain. Tang Ren said excitedly. When the Eternal Ancient Sect challenged the Holy Spring Sect at the level of the 7th or 8th stream, he got the news and became interested, so he began to collect all kinds of intelligence information about this sect. Destroy the evil sect, be ranked in the top 3, fight the extreme cold palace, and even take disciples to challenge the entire Dong Haozhou. When these things came to Tang Ren's ears, he was immediately more certain that the Eternal Ancient Sect had unlimited potential. Of course, the Tang family had also heard about this sect. However, when they were still discussing and questioning, Tang Ren had already visited them under the pretext of inspection work in order to improve his own connections. In the end, Tang Ren took the initiative to visit Jun Changxiao, which was a move to become the head of the family in the future. As for whether he could help, it was unknown, but he had to go out so as not to be beaten by his uncles and cousins. In terms of political resources, he was too far behind his fellow clansmen. The major sects in Zhongzhou had basically formed their teams, and they could only start with the emerging sects that had just started in other states. The Eternal Ancient Sect was just one of them. Next, Tang Ren will visit potential sects one after another, hoping to make friends with them and build his own network of contacts. Jun Changxiao took the initiative to do business, and it was the elixir business which caught him by surprise. Opportunity. Absolute opportunity. Whether he can improve his weight in the old man's heart depends on the elixir business with the Wangu sect. Mr. Tang. The next day, Jun Changxiao said, "Are you used to living here?" Tang Ren smiled and said, "Your sect has abundant spiritual power. Staying here for a night can be said to be refreshing." Swish. Jun Changxiao took out several space rings and said, there are 100,000 key gathering pills, 10,000 healing pills, and 10,000 detoxification pills in it. He had more elixirs, but he didn't take them out all at once. He also had to consider whether the other party had the ability to sell them to maximize profits. Tang Ren said with a smile, Tang guarantees that they can all be sold within a month and bring rich profits to Sect Master Jun. Swish. Jun Changxiao took out a few space rings again and said, there are thousands of cold swords in it. Tang Ren was stunned and then hurriedly took it, and his spiritual thoughts merged into it. Seeing the neatly arranged thousands of cold swords, he almost stood up without steadying himself. He actually took out thousands of such swords at once. What's more terrifying is that from the appearance, the workmanship of the 1,000 cold swords is also extremely exquisite. Master Fan would never achieve such a level in his life of casting weapons. The products of the casting pavilion must be fine products. What's more, these 1,000 cold swords are all obsolete, because many disciples of the Eternal Ancient Sect have already used the cold swords, or even the higher level True Yang swords. Master Jun. Tang Ren said solemnly, Master Fan would be ashamed of your sect's casting level. Jun Changxiao said, give these elixirs and weapons to Mr. Tang, and I will wait for good news. Well. Tang Ren took out a token and said with a smile, this is my Tang family VIP card. If Master Jun needs to buy spirit stones in the future, you can take it out, and you will definitely be treated as a guest of honor. Jun Changxiao took it and threw it into the space ring. The two chatted for a while, and Tang Ren got up and said goodbye. After getting the elixirs and weapons, the next step is to consider how to sell them as soon as possible. Jun Changxiao personally sent them to the outside of the mountain gate and ordered Juxi Sheng to protect them in the dark to prevent them from being hijacked by the dark sect forces again. Master. Li Luoqiu said, I just got the information that the second son of Tang does not have a very high status among the many heirs of the Tang family. So, Jun Changxiao touched his chin and said, there is a reason for taking the initiative to visit my Wangu sect. He could guess one or two of the reasons. One needs to do business to earn more money, and the other needs to build connections to earn more political resources. Now that they have reached a cooperation, it is still quite predestined. However, whether the cooperation between the two can get what they need, it still needs to be proved by practice. Tang Ren left the Wangu sect and did not go to inspect the Lingxi store in Yangzhou, southwest. He set off directly to Zhangzhou and began to prepare for the sale of elixirs. This guy's also very courageous. After returning, after careful consideration, he decided to invest his own money to open elixir stores in various county towns in Zhangzhou. Although the Tang family has an elixir industry, it is not perfect. Tang Ren did this to make elixir stores bloom everywhere and then publicize the elixir to the outside world so that each store has 3 kinds of elixir for sale. Of course, they can't sell all of them, so they have to limit purchases first. This approach is similar to the monthly auctions at home. Although it can't make enough profit in a short period of time, it can make the elixir more valuable. There are many county cities in Zhangzhou Prefecture. If you want to expand it comprehensively, the funds required will be very high. Tang Ren doesn't care. At this time, you must break the shackles and roll up your sleeves to have a good gamble. Chapter 690 Arms. Brother, you want to sell elixirs? You also plan to open elixir shops in the counties of Zhangzhou province? It's not that our Tang family hasn't done elixir business before, but we can't compete with the families that mainly deal in elixirs in terms of resources, so we ended up in failure. Too reckless, too reckless. Tang Ren was planning to vigorously develop the family elixir market. When the direct descendants of the family learned about it, it immediately caused a wave of discussion. They would not deny the ability of the direct descendant who ranked second in the 3rd generation in the business field, but suddenly entering the non-professional elixir field would definitely result in losses. After the top leaders of the Tang family learned about it, they also expressed their pessimism. This matter alarmed the old man of the Tang family, and he specially called Tang Ren over. Renner. In the ancient study, the elderly head of the Tang family drank a sip of tea and said, why do you suddenly spend a lot of money to develop the elixir industry? Grandpa. Tang Ren said, my Tang family has been operating spirit stones for many years. Although we have made enough profits, if we want to make a higher breakthrough, we must get involved in other industries and have a greater weight. The old man of the Tang family's turbid eyes were relieved. The entire family almost monopolized the spirit stone industry, and wealth accumulated more and more. But for long-term development, it still needs to be balanced, not single extreme. To put it in the worst way, if one day, a family that mainly relies on spirit stones rises and quickly occupies the market, the Tang family will definitely suffer a heavy blow, and because other industries have no countervailing power, it may go from prosperity to decline. Renner. The old man of the Tang family said, "Are you confident?" Tang Ren said with a firm look, "Grandpa, I'm confident that I can create a world in the medicine industry." The old man of the Tang family said with great satisfaction, "Young people should be bold in innovation, not stick to the old ways. Grandpa supports you, just go for it." Tang Ren's confidence increased greatly. Of course, he knew that his grandfather was testing him. If he made the medicine better and bigger, he would certainly win his favor. If he messed it up, he would definitely fall behind in the competition for the position of the head of the family. Second brother. As soon as he walked out of the study, a handsome man stopped Tang Ren. This was the eldest son of the Tang family in the third generation, named Tang Li. Big brother. Tang Ren bowed. The most prestigious among his peers is undoubtedly Tang Li. The two are cousins and competitors for the family inheritance, and their relationship is a bit tense on weekdays. Second brother. Tang Li smiled and said, "I heard that you just went to Yangzhou in the southwest." "Yes," Tang Ren said. Tang Li said, "It's such a small place, why bother to go there in person?" Grandpa often said that we should not discriminate when doing business. Even if the overall strength of Southwest Yangzhou is not good, there is still business for our Tang family, so we should not slack off. Tang Ren said with a smile. Tang Li smiled and said, "I'm afraid my second cousin went to visit the Wangu sect." Tang Ren remained silent. Sure enough, this eldest cousin knew everything about his affairs. Our Tang family has been doing business for generations, not focusing on martial arts, but in terms of overall strength, it is not inferior to the first or second rate. It is really a loss of status for my second cousin to condescend to visit the Wangu sect in person. Tang Li said with a smile. Tang Ren knew that his eldest cousin had made friends with many large sects in Zhangzhou and looked down on the sects of the outer counties, so he turned around and left without saying anything more. Second brother. Tang Li was behind him and said with a look of arms, "I also considered sending people to make friends with the Wangu sect, but since you went there first, it doesn't matter if I give it to you." Tang Ren stopped and said, "So, should I thank you, big brother? We are all family, it would be too polite to say thank you." But, he paused and smiled, "It is completely meaningless to make friends with these sects from other counties. If second brother wants to have enough say in the family, he still has to make friends with the major sects in Zhangzhou." These words hit Tang Ren's pain. He had always wanted to make friends with the major sects in the state, but you guys got there first, so he could only settle for the second best and get to know those sects from other states with great potential as his political capital. "Thank you for your guidance, big brother." Tang Ren thought to himself, "It's a good thing that you gave me the Wangu sect," with a gesture of arms. "Otherwise how could I have reached a cooperative relationship with Sect Master Jun?" He casually took out such a powerful pill. He believed that the Eternal Sect had great potential. As long as he made friends with it, he would definitely benefit greatly from its improvement in strength in the future. No, not in the future. He would benefit immediately by obtaining the agency rights for 3 kinds of elixirs and weapons. Unfortunately, his eldest brother and other direct descendants of the family had too narrow vision and looked down on the sects in other states, so they handed this opportunity to him. This was indeed the case. The direct descendants of the Tang family must have known about the Eternal Sect a long time ago. Because it came from the remote southwestern Yangzhou, no one would take it seriously. If they take this sect seriously, even if they send their men to make friends, it is possible to reach a business agreement, no matter who comes. Cousin, fellow clansman, thank you very much. You look down on the Eternal Sect, which allows me to establish friendship with it. With the support of the old man of the Tang family, Tang Ren became more active. In just a few days, dozens of pill shops were opened in the city of Zhangzhou. The Tang family has recently frequently purchased stores in various cities and opened Tang's pill shops. It seems that there will be big moves. In terms of pills, the Sun family almost monopolizes the market in Zhangzhou. It will be difficult for the Tang family to get a share, as Tang's pill shops were established one after another. The warriors in Zhangzhou were also arguing. The rich families like to mess around, and they just want to watch the fun. Tang Ren's big move alarmed the Sun family, which mainly deals in pills, and they even discussed it separately at the regular meeting. The Tang family is not taking good care of their spiritual stone industry and is now making trouble again. A few years ago, they also got involved in elixirs, but in the end they lost money and closed down. In terms of financial resources, although our Sun family is not as good as the Tang family, it is impossible for them to snatch food from us. The Sun family's top management sneered at the Tang family's opening of an elixir store. However, in the next few days, a piece of news reached their ears, and their eyes widened completely. The content of the news was, Tang's elixir store officially opened on the 8th day of this month, and grandly launched several new elixirs, including elixirs that can increase the speed of spiritual power intake, elixirs that quickly recover from injuries, and elixirs that can detoxify all kinds of poisons. I've never heard of this kind of elixir. It must be a gimmick, to build momentum for the opening. The Sun family's top management calmed down and did not take this matter seriously. Whether the elixir is good or not does not depend on hype, but on the effect and quality. After the opening, it will be verified by the public, and then everything will be clear. The 3 kinds of elixir sold by Tang's elixir store spread quickly throughout Zhangzhou, and everyone from high-level warriors to ordinary people knew about it. For a time, people all over the state were talking about it, causing a huge sensation. Of course, many people had doubts. After all, the key gathering elixir that absorbed spiritual power 10 times faster was exaggerated enough. Sect Master Li Luoqiu from Wangu Sect came to report, young Master Tang has set up 56 elixir stores in Zhangzhou and opened on the 8th day of the first lunar month. The 3 kinds of elixirs have also been spread out, causing quite a stir. TSK. Jun Changxiao smiled and said with emotion, in such a short time, 56 elixir stores have been established. The Tang family is indeed rich and powerful. Li Luoqiu said, the second son of the Tang family sent an invitation, hoping that the sect master can attend the opening ceremony. Not interested. Jun Changxiao smiled. The elixir was handed over to Tang Ren, who was in charge of the operation, and he was only responsible for collecting the money. What's more, the March deadline is approaching. He also has to take his disciples to challenge the ordinary difficulty of the secret realm of life and death, and has no time to show off in Zhangzhou. Chapter 691, Hot Sales. A few days later, 56 medicine stores opened. There were quite a few families who came to congratulate. After all, it was opened by the Tang family, so they had to come to support it. Of course, more people still wanted to see if the 3 kinds of medicines that were about to be sold were as magical as advertised. Everyone standing outside the medicine store, Tang Ren said loudly, welcome everyone to support us. To express our gratitude, the store has prepared 1,000 key gathering pills today. Each pill is priced at 5,000 taels. The quantity is limited, and it is first come first served. Mr. Tang, does the key gathering pill really have such a magical effect? Someone asked. Tang Ren said, my Tang family has been doing business for generations, and we have always been based on reputation. We will never take reputation as a joke. Many warriors relaxed their minds. Indeed, as one of the best business empires on the mainland, there is absolutely no doubt about its reputation. If you dare to exaggerate about the medicine, or make false propaganda, you will definitely shoot yourself in the foot. Young Master Tang, an elder of a large family said, I will buy 2 pills to try first. Please come in. Tang Ren bowed. As a result, many warriors entered the store. A few thousand taels is not a lot. If the key gathering pill is really effective, they will not care, even if it is more expensive. The family elder who entered first bought 2 key gathering pills, then took one and took it. When the effect was fully stimulated, the whole person stood there like a wooden chicken. Elder Shan, How is it? Someone said. Swish. Elder Cheyenne didn't care about his identity and immediately sat cross-legged in the store, continuing to practice the mind method to absorb the attributes of the world that permeated the surroundings. In an instant, the spiritual power of the surrounding world was mobilized, and it poured into the body like a tsunami. Although the warriors in the store didn't know whether the elders benefited from it, they clearly felt the subtle movement brought by the flow of spiritual energy, so they all secretly said, "Is it really effective? Let me try." Another family warrior swallowed the key gathering pill he had just bought, and when the medicine took effect, he was too lazy to pay attention to other people's questions and sat cross-legged on the spot to practice his mind method. Young Master Tang said that the effect of the pill lasted for 2 hours. After he and Elder Cheyenne confirmed that the speed of absorbing spiritual energy was really 10 times faster, they naturally didn't want to waste every minute and every second. The other warriors were not fools. They could naturally read something from the expressions of the two people, and they all spent 5,000 taels to buy key gathering pills. So, in a not so big pill store, dozens of warriors sat on the ground, practicing their mind methods to absorb spiritual energy. A spectacular scene. Tang Ren smiled but said nothing. Everything was as he expected. 2 hours later, the effect of the pill disappeared, and Elder Cheyenne stood up suddenly and said hurriedly, "Mr. Tang, I want all the remaining key gathering pills in your store." "Sorry." Tang Ren shook his head and said, "The new store is open, and each customer can only buy 2 key gathering pills. If Elder Cheyenne needs anything, please come early tomorrow. A key gathering pill costs 5,000 taels, only for Dang Dang. When the effect of the pill is confirmed by everyone, the price will naturally increase." Elder Cheyenne sighed. Taking key gathering pills can increase the speed of spiritual energy intake tenfold within 2 hours. If you take 6 pills a day and practice for a year, it is completely equivalent to 10 years. This is very terrifying. Elder Cheyenne. Tang Ren smiled and said, "The store also has healing pills and detoxification pills. Are you interested in buying them? What's the price?" Elder Cheyenne said. He has seen the magic of key gathering pills, and as for the other 2 kinds of pills, he naturally believes in them. Tang Ren said, "The healing pill is 2 million taels, and the detoxification pill is 500,000 taels." Elder Cheyenne was surprised and asked, "So expensive?" "The healing pills in our shop can heal injuries instantly, which is equivalent to giving a warrior an extra life. Selling them for 2 million is not expensive." Tang Ren said. "To be honest, it is not expensive. The first grade healing pills sold by the AI family are sold for a minimum of 1 million, and the high grade ones are only 2 million, which is really cheap. I need to think about it." Elder Cheyenne did not plan to buy them, mainly because he had doubts about the effectiveness of the pills. Tang Ren also knew that, if he wanted customers to be willing to pay for the pills, he had to prove the effectiveness of the pills. So he went to several large families with chronic patients that day. Song Zhuanzhao went out for training and was injured by a ferocious beast and paralyzed for many years. This kind of thing is very common in the Xinjiang continent. After all, as a warrior, no one dares to guarantee that they will not be injured for a lifetime. Tang Ren visited the families with injured people one by one and sold the healing pills at the cheapest price. I stood up. A direct descendant of a large family who had been paralyzed in bed for many years stood up staggeringly, his eyes flashing with tears and ecstasy. Other injured warriors took the healing pills one after another and recovered. It only took half a day. The effect of the healing pills spread throughout the Zhangzhen province, and the speed was amazing. The influence of the Tang family in the Xinjiang continent is not comparable to that of the AI family. So many family forces believed it, after confirming the reliability of the news. Of course, Tang Ren is still promoting the detoxification pill. He even went into battle himself, deliberately letting himself be bitten by snakes and beasts containing multiple toxins, and then took detoxification pills to heal. Taking multiple times of the key gathering pills, serious injuries can be healed instantly. The healing pills can dissolve hundreds of poisons. The 3 kinds of pills, once they were launched and recognized by the masses, caused a sensation that can really be described as a magnitude 12 earthquake. In just a few days, the 56 pill shops in Zhangzhou were crowded with people waiting to buy pills before they opened. The powerful big families must be rushing for the key gathering pills. The casual cultivators are mostly rushing for the healing pills and detoxification pills because they have been training outside for many years, and these things can undoubtedly save their lives at critical moments. Within a few days of opening, the business of Tangji Pill Shop was extremely hot. The prices of the 3 kinds of pills have risen sharply, especially the key gathering pills, which have reached 10,000 taels per pill, which is the same as the spirit stone. Some people will ask, why not buy the spirit stone directly? In theory, the spirit stone is more cost effective and provides more energy. But the point is that, after taking the key gathering pill, you can continue to use the spirit stone, and there is no conflict between the two. Ordinary warriors may not be so extravagant, but they can't stand up to the wealthy big families. Especially if they want to cultivate the younger generation to break through faster. Taking the key gathering pill and then absorbing the spirit stone will definitely improve the speed more obviously. Therefore, the price of the key gathering pill is equivalent to the spirit stone, which still can't stop the enthusiasm of the big families to buy it, and they even line up early just to buy more. To put it bluntly, it's just using money to smash the cultivation. The 3 kinds of pills launched by Tangjidan Pharmacy are selling well. The Sun family, who mainly sells pills, was dumbfounded. According to financial statistics, their family's pill sales in the past half month have obviously declined. Mainly, the pill shop opened by Tang Ren also sells the most common pills on the market. Driven by the 3 kinds of pills, many warriors will choose to buy the pills they need on weekdays in this store nearby, which has virtually snatched a lot of customers from the Sun family. P.S. I have good news to tell you. I have caught a cold again. The bad news is that it's just a low fever. My brain is still functioning normally, and I can continue to fight on the front line. Chapter 692 Normal Mode. Take it seriously. Tang's elixir shop is doing a booming business, which also surprised the Tang family. Those family members and senior executives who were not optimistic about Tang Ren and thought he was burning money were slapped in the face. The old man of the Tang family laughed so hard after learning about it. He didn't expect that his grandson would open up the elixir market in a short period of time and snatch a lot of users from the Sun family, which mainly sells elixir. Of course, he was also very curious, where did the 3 elixirs come from? Grandpa. Tang Ren said, these 3 elixirs were given to my grandson by a master of elixir that he met by chance while traveling around the world. Oh. Old man Tang responded. He naturally knew that this was just an excuse and he didn't intend to tell the whole story. Renner. Old man Tang said in a low voice, this is your own business secret. You must protect it well, so as not to be snatched away by someone with ulterior motives. The 2nd and 3rd generation of the direct lineage have their own businesses. As long as it can bring benefits to the family, he will not ask about it. In other words, since Tang Ren has obtained 3 kinds of elixirs, it is his ability. What degree and height he can develop in the future depends on his own business ability. Grandpa, are you reminding me to be on guard against my own people? Or should I be on guard against my business rivals? After leaving the study, Tang Ren kept thinking about what the old man said. Iron Bone Sect. Lilu Okio reported as usual, in the past half month, Tang's pill pharmacy has gradually opened up the market, and pill sales are extremely hot. Really? Jun Changxiao smiled. He was not surprised, because the 3 kinds of pills can bring unimaginable benefits to warriors. Not to mention the Tang family, even if they were handed over to the AI family to sell, they would still make a lot of money. However, Tang's pill pharmacy is doing a booming business, and sales have skyrocketed. Sect Master Jun has to wait for the money and prepare the supply. These have to be refined by himself, which is really a bit troublesome. If there is a function that can let disciples refine pills in the pill pavilion, it would be perfect. Jun Chang smiled and murmured. The system said speechlessly, you need disciples to do this. The host might as well let the sect master go and travel around. Do you think I don't want to? Jun Changxiao roared in his heart, but the damn soul bomb is decreasing every moment. Next, he ordered the members of the medicine hall to plant more medicinal materials for refining key gathering pills, and they didn't care about the degree of spiritual energy. They would refine them as soon as possible. Carefully cultivated medicinal materials can refine 15 times a pill. If the refining cycle is shortened, the effect will also be reduced. As long as it reaches 10 times, it will definitely be as fast as possible. Jun Changxiao notified the AI family again and asked them to prepare more ready-made medicinal materials. This guy's also very mean. He left the 15 times key gathering pill for the disciples and kept the 10 times key gathering pill made from ordinary medicinal materials for sale. Alas. In the eternal ancient sect, only the newly entered disciples would take the first great key gathering pill, but it was snatched in the territory of Jun Changxiao. This is really a bit funny. The next day, after doing morning exercises, Jun Changxiao stood in front of the entrance to the secret realm of life and death. The breeze blew away the slightly messy black hair, revealing a heroic and extraordinary face. Beside him, one black and two black were waving big fans vigorously. The 3-month CD time of the secret realm of life and death has cooled down, and Sect Master Jun will lead his disciples to break through the normal difficulty today. Tap, tat. Hundreds of disciples strode over and stood behind the Sect Master with their hands behind their backs. Lu Qian, Li Qingyang, Zhao Zuji, Yi Xingchen and other inner disciples were all present, and the atmosphere in the back mountain was slightly solemn. In the simple mode, a 6th grade spirit beast appeared, and Jun Changxiao must take this time to break into the normal mode seriously. Sect forces at the same level or even higher can no longer threaten the eternal sect, and they can only go to the secret realm refreshed by the system to find excitement. Alas. How lonely it is to be invincible, how empty it is to be invincible. Let's go. Jun Changxiao said loudly. Swish, swish, swish. The disciples integrated into the secret realm of life and death in an orderly manner. After entering the ethereal environment, Jun Changxiao chose the normal mode without hesitation. But everyone instantly integrated into the eerie and dark place. Goo goo, a strange cry sounded, and red lights flashed, like the eyes of some ferocious beast lurking in the darkness. Prepare for battle. Jun Changxiao said. Clang, clang. The disciples took out their weapons one after another. These inner disciples were equipped with either the true Yang sword or the cloud-piercing knife, all of which were exchanged for completing sect tasks. Pachi, Pachi. At this moment, the red light in the darkness moved, and it was not until they were about to get close that they could see clearly that they were bats with red bodies. This is a first-grade ferocious beast, the blood bat. Li Qingyang said. Swish. As soon as the voice fell, a sword energy flew past his ears, blooming in the air like fireworks, and turned into tiny sword beams. Puff, puff. Hundreds of blood bats were all wiped out. Fuck. Suzaomo looked at Zhao Hong, his eyes full of disbelief. A sword slashed out and turned into sword beams in the air. This was the first time he and his fellow disciples had seen such a move. Jun Chang smiled and said secretly, this disciple has become stronger again. Boom. Boom. At this moment, Yi Xingchen, who was standing in front, gathered spiritual energy in his fists and punched in the air again and again, shaking the flying bats into blood. Missed on the spot. Our Lord GD has been in a bad mood recently, especially in the hell mode. He was directly abused by the holy beast comparable to the level of the martial emperor and doubted his life. This time he came in again. It can be said to be full of firepower. However, more blood bats rushed out of the darkness, as if endless. Kill. Kill. Suzaomo, Li Fei and others rushed forward with swords in hand. In an instant, the disciples of the Wangu sect started fighting with the group of blood bats. Jun Changxiao also wanted to take action, but he held back in the end. After all, he was only comparable to a first-grade martial artist, and it was enough to leave it to the disciples. 10 minutes later, nearly 10,000 blood bats were killed. This is equivalent to 10,000 warriors comparable to martial artists being wiped out by 100 disciples of the Wangu sect in a very short time. If the beast could not fly, the speed of killing would have been even faster. Roar. Suddenly, a roar came from the darkness, and a bat larger than the Black Hawk of Demon Ridge slowly flew out. The system said, 7th grade Blood Bat King. Huh. Jun Changxiao was a little surprised. In the simple mode, there appeared a Earth Spirit Bear Beast King that was comparable to the 6th grade Martial Emperor, and in the first level of the normal mode, there appeared a Blood Bat King that was comparable to the 7th grade Martial Emperor. It seemed that it was not difficult to improve by just one level. Roar, another Blood Bat King flew out. It turned out that in the first level of the normal difficulty, there were 2 spirit beasts that were comparable to the 7th grade Martial Emperor. Trouble. Li Qingyang frowned. Although the Blood Bat King was only 1 level higher than the Earth Spirit Bear Beast King in the simple mode, it was a rare flying bird. Lu Qian also realized that the problem was a bit serious and subconsciously clenched the cold sword. On the contrary, Yi Xingchen was able to remain calm. After all, he had been bullied by a holy beast comparable to the Martial Emperor in the Hell mode. So what was a 7th grade spirit beast? The one on the left is left to you. Jun Changxiao locked onto the Blood Bat King on the right and said, I will deal with it. Yes. The disciples rushed over one after another on the Zhangyan step, spreading to a certain position and surrounding the Blood Bat King on the left. Swish. Swish. Zhao Zuji and Yang Yuhua summoned the Black Iron Shield and set it in front of them. After the main tank and the deputy tank were in place, Yi Xingchen, Zhao Hang and other disciples who focused on DPS output were also ready. If it was a one-on-one fight, the disciples of the Eternal Ancient Sect would definitely be beaten to death by the Blood Bat King, but a group of 100 people might not be unable to fight it. The disciples of the major sects in the outside world were still cheering for joining forces to kill a low-grade spirit beast. In the secret realm of life and death, the disciples of the Eternal Ancient Sect have begun to challenge the 7th grade flying spirit beasts. This is the gap between people. Chapter 693, Together we can break metal. The Blood Bat King, who is comparable to the 7th grade Martial Emperor, is definitely much stronger than the Earth Spirit Bear Beast King, so it is another test for the disciples of the Eternal Ancient Sect. They are not afraid, and their eyes gradually rise with a strong desire to fight. After cultivating in the sect for so long, although there are tasks to do, they have never really let go, even when challenging the Lily Holy Sect. Now fighting against high-level spirit beasts, they must be passionate. Men practice martial arts, and they must fight. Of course. Another more important reason is that the battle against the Earth Spirit Bear Beast King was 3 months ago, and there were only 50 people. Not to mention the growth during this period, just talking about the addition of 50 disciples. What's wrong with fighting a flying medium 7th grade spirit beast? Roar. The Blood Bat King roared, and his body became even redder, as if it had turned into a huge charcoal. Whoosh, a stream of hot air waves filled the air, causing the surrounding space to distort. Activate the spirit armor, Li Qingyang shouted. The eldest sister didn't say much, and to deal with this kind of spirit beast, he could only act as the commander. Buzz, buzz. All the disciples gathered materialized armor in front of them, and the color just happened to be red. Looking down from the sky, the Blood Bat King was like the sun, and the disciples of the Eternal Sect around him were like stars. In theory, the sun's brilliance is unmatched by the stars. But when the disciples of the Eternal Sect enter a state of combat readiness, their momentum may not be weaker than that of the 7th grade spirit beast. Swish, a red beam of light suddenly burst out and hit the head of the Blood Bat King. The caster Ziozuji did it to attract hatred. Sure enough, the attacked Blood Bat King locked onto the human who attacked him, and his gloomy big eyes flashed with anger. Puff, puff. The wings flapped violently, and flames blasted out like cannonballs. Swish. Ziozuji's arms muscles suddenly grew, and he immediately erected the black iron shield, and said with a scorching look, "Come on, come on." Boom, boom, boom. The flames, like cannonballs, hit the shield with incomparable accuracy. Thump thump thump. Ziozuji carried the shield and kept retreating. This spiritual beast comparable to the 7th grade Martial Emperor is indeed powerful. Swish, swish. The Blood Bat King flapped his wings again, condensing the second round of flame bombs. Swish. Yang Yuhua strode over, holding the black iron shield in front of him, to bear the second wave of damage for Ziozuji. Boom, boom, boom. After a burst of violent bombardment, he also retreated a long way. Judging from the fighting spirit on his face, it seems that there is no problem. Although Yang Yuhua is not as good as his senior brother Ziozuji, his defense strength is also good. Boom. There was a bang from the other side. Arjan Zhangzu has taken the lead and gathered his fist of violent spiritual energy and hit the head of the Blood Bat King. This punch was very powerful and directly knocked the opponent away dozens of feet. Roar. The Blood Bat King, who stabilized his body, roared and then waved his wings to condense explosive firebombs. Bang, bang. Jun Changxiao flew over, waving his fists in the air, breaking all the incoming firebombs in a domineering way, until he rushed in front of the big guy and punched him cleanly again. Bang, a punch was thrown out, like a stone falling into a lake, and ripples suddenly appeared. The space that was gradually twisting under the scorching temperature could not withstand the shock of power, and it was instantly ruptured densely. The Blood Bat King was beaten far away again, with a fist mark on his face, and a look of pain in his eyes. Swish. Jun Changxiao flew over, gathering spiritual energy in his fists, and immediately performed the landslide fist. Boom. 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 The fist marks were handed over, and the spiritual energy spread. The entire space shook continuously with the explosion of power, until it could not bear it, and then it began to collapse on a large scale. Boom. After a series of bombardments, the Blood Bat King fell to the ground in a mess. It's really not worth fighting. Jun Chang laughed. The corners of the disciples' mouths twitched slightly. However, his eyes were filled with even stronger admiration. A spirit beast comparable to a 7th grade martial emperor was actually ravaged like this. The strength of the sect master was too terrifying. Since the battle with the Holy Lily sect, although Jun Changxiao has not upgraded his level, his strength as a 3rd grade sword martial emperor is still very explosive. Go on. At this moment, Xiao Zuji's collapsed shout was heard. When the sect master was fighting, he and Yang Yuhua took on 2 waves of flame shells. Go. Li Qingyang shouted. This so-called go on does not mean to go up and fight in close combat. After all, without the explosive strength of the sect master, once you get close, you will be killed. Chixio fiery flame slash. Kixen Zhaguan break. Hoo. More than 90 disciples displayed the sect's 2 most powerful spiritual martial arts. For a moment, brilliant flames and beams burst out, like fireworks in full bloom, and it seemed to wish readers a happy lantern festival in advance. Boom. Boom. All kinds of violent energy from all directions bombarded the Blood Bat King. 1 chopstick can break it, but 100 chopsticks can't break it. 1 chopstick doesn't hurt, but 100 chopsticks can kill people. Fellow disciples are united, and their strength can break metal. Boom. Boom. The explosive power bloomed from all angles, and the destructive power was very strong, directly blasting the Blood Bat King dozens of feet away. Roar. The big guy was angry, and after stabilizing his body, he flapped his wings suddenly, and suddenly a stream of flaming shells. This number is so large that it can be said to be splitting the sky and covering the earth. Get closer. Li Qingyang shouted. Swish. Swish. Facing the boss releasing AoE skills, Li Qingyang and others quickly shrank their defenses and hid behind 2 meat shields. Junior brother Yang. Xiao Zuji shouted. Swish. Yang Yuhua came over and inserted his black iron shield in front of his senior brother. Bang. Xiao Zuji also placed the black iron shield in front of him. His arms quickly filled with heavy earth attributes, suddenly raised his palm and slapped the shield, and shouted, shield stand. Buzz. The whole space trembled suddenly, and the sound of bells rang. Whoosh. At the same time, in the area of dozens of feet above, below, left, right, front and back of Xiao Zuji, a defensive barrier similar to an eggshell was instantly condensed. This is the special effect of the middle grade black iron shield, called shield stand. Moreover, multiple shields are activated at the same time, and the condensed defensive barrier is stronger. Boom. Boom. After the double shield stand special effect is turned on, the sky full of flame shells instantly hit it. Not only did not break it, but also bounced back the explosive force. A wave of AoE big moves ended, and the shield stand barrier also dissipated. Xiao Zuji held the black iron shield with trembling hands, and the corners of his mouth twitched violently. He did bear it, but it was still very uncomfortable to bear. So many powerful fireball shells head on. Go. After dodging the attack, Li Qingyang and the others dispersed again, ready to gather various martial arts to attack. Crack. Suddenly, the sound of bones breaking was heard. Everyone was startled and turned their heads. To see the sect master gathered two big hands with spiritual energy, clasped them on the wings of the Blood Bat King, and then bent them abruptly, and twisted them together like twisting a twist. The whole process was clean and neat, and also extremely cruel. Li Qingyang and the others shuddered, and secretly thought, it must be very painful. Chapter 694. Is this the end? Hundreds of martial kings could only blast the Blood Bat King out with two divine martial arts. Jun Changxiao twisted the wings of another Blood Bat King with just one person. This is very scary. Otherwise, how could it be the master of the sect? Roar. The Blood Bat King with its wings twisted together let out a heart-wrenching roar. Although it was also transformed by the secret realm, it had to endure the most real pain like the warriors who entered. Puff. Jun Changxiao suddenly raised his hand, and the twisted wings were directly torn apart, and blood immediately splattered like rain. This was really brutal, so brutal that the disciples of the Eternal Ancient Sect couldn't bear to watch it, and could only focus on the other Blood Bat King. Whoosh, hot flames, and dazzling beams flashed and blasted from different directions. Boom. Boom. The huge Blood Bat King moved slowly, and could only take all the moves tragically, and then was blasted away again. Hoo-hoo. A cold wind blew, accompanied by frosty frost, suppressing the surrounding heat. Swish. Lu Qian crossed her hands, and the icy air that permeated became stronger, eventually temporarily freezing the Blood Bat King. Junior brother Zhao, leave it to you. Li Qingyang shouted. He knew that the senior sister's freezing time was limited, so at this time, he had to rely on the sharpest output to cause fatal damage to the Blood Bat King. Swish. Zhao Han flew over and drew his sword. Swish. Swish. The unparalleled sword energy suddenly appeared in the darkness, then tore through the space and slashed past. Puff. One of the Blood Bat King's wings fell off. Crack. Crack. At the same time, the freezing force also came into contact, and because it lost a wing, its huge body suddenly lost balance in midair, and fell down swayingly. Take its life while it's sick. Whoosh. Whoosh. The disciples of the Eternal Ancient Sect attacked one after another. The red sky flame slash and the 7 mysterious lights exploded and shot out, hitting the Blood Bat King, and once again burst into brilliant light. The Blood Bat King, who had lost a wing, was already seriously injured, and now he was bombarded again, which was worse than before, and finally fell to the ground with a bang. Yi Xingchen flew over, waving the cold sword in his hand, and immediately performed a one-word quick formula, forming a dense sword energy. Puff. Puff. The huge body of the Blood Bat King was immediately cut into pieces, and then he collapsed to the ground weakly. Swish. Yi Xingchen fell down and said disdainfully, trash. The holy beast comparable to the martial emperor couldn't beat it, and the seriously injured middle grade 7th grade spirit beast couldn't beat it? Junior brother. Be careful. Li Qingyang exclaimed. Boom. The Blood Bat King's body suddenly swelled, and before dying, it burst into the most brilliant light, as if to congratulate the single dog on the holiday. Yi Xingchen was miserable. He was relatively close to the explosion point, and inevitably got splashed with blood and flesh. Of course. The explosion of the Blood Bat King was not a self-explosion by the warrior, so the power was not strong. But the blood and flesh on the armor were smelly and disgusting, which made the clean conscious Lord Yidi extremely embarrassed. Boom. Boom. On the other side, Jun Changxiao stood on the Blood Bat King, condensed his spiritual energy into a fist and hit the opponent's head fiercely until it was smashed into meat paste, and then stopped. Swish. Suddenly, the scene in front of them changed, and everyone was instantly in the swamp, with waves of disgusting stench blowing in their faces. Obviously, after killing the two Blood Bat Kings, they immediately entered the second level of normal difficulty. The disciples of the Eternal Ancient Sect did not relax their minds. The first level was just a warm-up, and the real test has just begun. Gurgle. Gurgle. Suddenly, bubbles emerged from the swamp, and the stench in the air became stronger. Swish. Swish. At this moment, a bunch of slimy monsters rushed out. Their bodies were cut into pieces, like enlarged caterpillars. So ugly. Suzaomo said. These caterpillar-like monsters were not only ugly, but also smelly. A total of 10 appeared, just surrounding the disciples of the Eternal Sect. Judging from the breath they exuded, they should be at the level of the 2nd grade spirit beasts. Babies. Jun Chang smiled and said, let's fight. Swish. Swish. The disciples dispersed one after another, tacitly forming groups of 10, and rushed towards the ugly insects. Boom. 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 The light flashed, and it was still bright. Puff. The last stink bug fell into the swamp. Suzuomo, who was sitting on a stone, held her cheek and said, "It's over." "Yeah." Li Fei said, "So fast." "Wait. Why are they all gathered so far away from the battle area?" "Because, before the disciples rushed up, the master of the Jun Sect opened fire, and took the lead. The middle level second grade spirit beasts were definitely abused in front of the sword and martial arts twin emperors, so they were quickly wiped out. Seeing that the sect leader was so powerful, the disciples simply stepped back, and watched him perform quietly. It's not the fault of sect master Jun for stealing the limelight. The main reason is that he stood by and watched the whole process in the simple mode and didn't give any experience points until the end. But after the second level, the scene changed again, and everyone was in the red earth, surrounded by the volcanic craters full of boiling soul. Yi Xingqian's pupils suddenly shrank. This scene, this atmosphere, isn't it the same as when he challenged the hell mode? It's over. Even though Yi Di was very stable, his eyes were instantly filled with despair. He could even imagine the tragic scene of having to go through a long period of weakness after failing to break through the level. At this moment, the magma of the largest volcanic crater splashed, and a huge monster with a body like flames appeared. Judging from its appearance, it was really the holy beast that killed Yi Xingqian in seconds. No. Yi Xingqian frowned and said, "The breath exuded by this guy is not at the level of a holy beast." Hoo-hoo. The huge monster with a body made of flames rushed out of the crater, and the hot air wave pressed down first. Yi Xingqian in the hell mode was directly wiped out by this breath. "Back off." Jun Changxiao shouted. All the disciples retreated one after another, their eyes flashing with solemnity. This huge monster made of flames must be very powerful. Swish. Jun Changxiao flew away and rushed towards the fire beast. At the same time, the holy flame body was fully opened, and dozens of flames burst out, as if he had instantly turned into a fireman. Hoo-hoo. Everyone was sure that it was the fire beast's flame that was reducing. Whoosh. The hot flame was still erupting. About 10 minutes later, the originally huge fire beast had shrunk to 2 or 3 feet. Under the warm embrace of the holy flame body, it, as a fire element, couldn't stand it at all. Swish. Jun Changxiao separated from it, floating in the air, waving his hand and said, "This guy is handed over to you. Each of you come and punch it. Since we are going through the level together, we must give the disciples a chance to show their skills. Otherwise there will be no experience value rewards, then it will be a mess." Yes. The disciples gathered their martial arts and blasted towards the very embarrassed fire beast and finally blasted it to pieces. Is this over? Yi Xingqian was stunned. Whoosh. Suddenly, the spirit core in the Danshan suddenly became restless, and a stream of pure energy emerged, which made him say in surprise, "It's going to break through." Swish. Swish. Li Qingyang and others sat down one after another to welcome the upcoming breakthrough. Jun Changxiao, who was hanging in the air, saw them all sitting down, and his expression suddenly became exciting, because after passing all the levels, let alone breaking through, there was not even a sign of spiritual energy improvement. Please. In the normal mode, I worked hard, why didn't I get any benefits? Hoo-hoo. Just when Jun Changxiao wanted to cry, but had no tears, the spiritual energy in the two spiritual cores suddenly boiled, and a strong desire to advance came to his mind. Haha. It's finally here. I can finally enjoy the benefits of passing the life and death secret realm. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 695. One sends money, one receives money. Hoo-hoo. The momentum of promotion permeated the secret realm. In a short period of time, all the 100 disciples broke through a level. 3 months ago, they were promoted to a level by clearing the simple mode, and 3 months later, they were promoted to another level by clearing the normal mode. This is simply cheating. Li Qingyang and others had experienced it once, so they were able to adapt. However, our Lord Yi was stunned. Realm promotion requires the comprehension of martial arts and one's own efforts. Now it can be done by clearing the secret realm. It is really incredible. Incredible. Yi Xingchen couldn't calm down for a long time. He couldn't understand why he suddenly had a higher understanding of the attributes of heaven and earth and martial arts, and then he was promoted in a muddle. It is difficult for the author to give a reasonable explanation for this. Just treat them as cheating. Sect Master Jun also broke through and successfully entered the 4th grade from the 3rd grade. The whole process is very simple, just like crushing the experience symbol. The reward mechanism of the life and death secret realm is that whoever contributes the most will get a higher experience value reward. There is no doubt. In clearing the normal difficulty, Sect Master Jun made the greatest contribution, so he also benefited the most. Of course. The main reason was that the fire beast in the 3rd level just happened to match his attributes, so he was able to solve it easily, otherwise he would have to fight hard. Great. Jun Changxiao led his disciples out of the secret realm. Sitting in the hall, he began to think that if the normal mode was so difficult, the difficult mode must be even more terrifying. If the disciples did not have the emperor level cultivation, they would probably be completely abused if they entered. Combined with the fact that Yi challenged the hell mode and encountered a sacred beast comparable to the martial emperor, it can be roughly inferred that the difficult mode must be very difficult. Jun Changxiao led his disciples through the normal mode smoothly, which gave other disciples confidence, and they formed teams to challenge. Of course, the number of people was still 100. As a result, 2 groups entered and were destroyed. The levels encountered by the 2 groups of disciples were exactly the same as the first time they entered the scene, and even the levels were the same. Because they were not as strong as the sect master, they naturally died. The biggest disadvantage of the life and death secret realm is that the difficulty of the levels is fixed, and it will not be fine-tuned according to the overall strength of the entrance. 100 won't work, then 200. Jun Changxiao changed his strategy and asked the number of disciples who challenged the normal mode to be increased by 200. Although the result was that the level was cleared, the price was extremely heavy. As many as 130 disciples were eliminated, especially in the 3rd level, where there were heavy casualties. You can't play it like this. Jun Changxiao immediately ordered that the disciples were forbidden to challenge the normal mode, but to continue to practice in the simple mode, and wait until the realm is higher and they are confident enough to challenge again. It should have been done a long time ago. The system said. The mode options of the secret realm of life and death are not to let the challengers conquer one by one, but to practice at whatever level is suitable. Playing the simple, the normal, and then the difficult. Is it really a game? Are there any fellow disciples who want to challenge? Join me. I major in the water system. The 5-element giant Shenju has comprehended the earth system, a strong meat shield, looking for a position. There is a lack of fire martial arts practitioners. It is best to equip the cold sword. 49-1. Come and start a group immediately. At the entrance of the secret realm of life and death, there are disciples who come to challenge every day, and they are very orderly looking for a team to break through the simple mode together. This kind of shouting method, similar to playing a dungeon in an online game, must have been taught by Jun Gaosheng. There are more and more disciples in the Wangu sect, and many people may not know all of them. In the absence of enough teammates, it is undoubtedly very convenient to shout out your advantages at the entrance of the secret realm and seek a team. In short, the opportunity to improve the realm is within the sect. Whether they can get it depends on their strength and teamwork. The normal difficulty is prohibited, and the disciples of the Wangu sect continue to challenge the simple mode. Because of their previous experience, it becomes easy to pass the level. Those who were eliminated have successfully passed after 3 months of hard training and gained a lot of experience points and broke through to a higher level. The disciples who passed the level twice did not break through. Repeating the same level of secret realm will reduce the rewards. However, it is still okay. The spiritual energy in the spirit core has increased a lot, and it can also break through after a little more training. At least it is much faster than relying on various resources or hard training. More importantly, entering the secret realm will experience a fierce battle, which will undoubtedly improve the actual combat experience and prevent the disciples from becoming flowers and plants in a greenhouse. That's it. After the new round of secret realm restrictions were refreshed, disciples formed teams at the secret realm in trance every day and gradually formed a trend. Sooner or later, my Wangu sect will become the strongest existence. Jun Changxiao stood on the peak of the back mountain, looking at the disciples forming teams at the secret realm in trance, and smiled. Sect Master. Li Qingyang transmitted, young Master Tang is visiting. Oh. Jun Changxiao calculated the time. It seemed to be almost a month, so he must have come to give him money. In the main hall, Tang Ren sat down with a smile on his face. During this period, the sales of Tang's elixir store were extremely hot, which made him more important in the heart of the old man of the Tang family, and he was naturally refreshed. Although Tang Ren was one of the successors to the head of the family, his foundation was too weak and his competitiveness was very low. Now that he had elixirs in hand, as long as he worked hard to run it and make it bigger, he would definitely have the capital to compete with other direct descendants. Mr. Tang. Jun Changxiao walked in, sat in the first seat, and said with a smile, "How are you recently, Master Jun?" Tang Ren stood up and said, "Your 3 kinds of elixirs have opened up the market in Zhangzhou, and you make a lot of money every day." Jun Changxiao said, "That's also because your family has a good reputation." The two exchanged clichés for a while, and then got to the point, one giving money and the other receiving money. "Master Jun," Tang Ren said, 80% of the 100,000 key gathering pills you gave me have been sold, and 50% of the healing pills and detoxification pills have been sold, with a total profit of 700 million. When the pill market opened, he was not in a hurry to sell the goods, but limited the purchase every day, so it has not been sold out for a month. As for the healing pills and detoxification pills, although they have been confirmed, not many people buy them, because they are more expensive. Moreover, warriors usually only have 1 or 2 in reserve, so they are far less popular than the key gathering pills. This has made Jun Changxiao very satisfied. If it were the AI family, they would definitely not have such a great influence, and would not open up the market in a short time. "Master Jun." Tang Ren handed over a few space rings and said, "Please accept these 500 million. Huh? Jun Changxiao said, "Isn't it 50 to 50? Tang Ren said, "The pills refined by your sect must require high quality medicinal materials, and they should get more profits." He didn't care whether the money was much or little. In the future, when Tang's pill pharmacy is developed to cover the Xinjiang continent, the profit will naturally increase. What Tang Ren needs to do now is to impress Jun Changxiao with enough sincerity and establish an unbreakable cooperative relationship. That's fine. Jun Zhangzu took the space ring without hesitation. The space rings given by Mr. Tang are all large capacity, so he can take out the money and distribute them to the disciples. He made 500 million yuan, but he still cares about the space ring. This guy's really stingy. However, having said that, since crossing to the Xinjiang continent, Jun Changxiao has never bought a space ring on purpose. He either got it by relying on others to give him money, or by licking the bag. Chapter 696. The stronger, the more challenging. Tang Ren and Jun Changxiao chatted for a while, then left in a hurry. However, they did not return empty-handed, as they took away 100,000 key gathering pills, 10,000 healing pills, and 10,000 detoxification pills. As for the cold-edged sword, Tang Ren had not started selling it yet, because he had not yet decided whether to sell it or auction it. If it was an ordinary upper middle grade weapon, young Master Tang would definitely not consider selling it directly, but the cold-edged sword was made perfectly, so he had to consider it carefully. After sending Tang Ren away, Jun Changxiao handed the money to Li Luoqiu, asking her to develop the intelligence agency as quickly as possible and purchase more martial arts resources. No problem. With enough funds, Li Luoqiu had no constraints in doing things. Jun Changxiao leaned back on the chair in the hall and said, "The sect also has more sources of income, so we can focus on the upcoming dragon and tiger contest. There are only more than 2 months left before the competition begins. At present, Li Qingyang and his team have just passed the secret realm of life and death, and have broken through the level. It is already difficult for them to break through again during this period. Why don't we set off first and go to Black Mountain Cliff to have a look? Jun Changxiao murmured. He originally planned to go a month in advance. Now that the core disciples have been promoted, it is no problem to go 1 month earlier. What's more, he has just broken through. Even if he practices steadily for a month, there will be no substantial improvement. It is better to go early to see the most prosperous state in Xinjiang continent. Decision. Jun Changxiao made the decision. Set off in 3 days. Sect Master. At this time, Liu Wanshi walked in and pouted. The staff in the cafeteria is getting less and less. When will you find a few more cooks? Although the arrival of her father Rao Angjun helped the little girl share a lot of work. But with the fixed monthly opening of the mountain to recruit disciples, the workload is getting bigger and bigger, and he is too busy to have time to study the food that improves martial arts. Girl. Jun Changxiao said with a smile. Everyone is used to the food cooked by you and your father. If you change to another cook, they will definitely not adapt. That's not a problem. I can teach them. Liu Wanshi said. Li Luoqiu came from outside and said with a smile, Master, I think we should set up a canteen and let the little girl manage the food. That makes sense. Jun Changxiao said with a smile. Ah. Liu Wanshi stared with big eyes and said, so, I will be the head of the hall? Not happy. Jun Changxiao said. Liu Wanshi hurriedly said, happy. Jun Changxiao said, tomorrow I will announce the establishment of a canteen. You will be the deputy head of the hall and your father will be the head of the hall. Liu Wanshi, who was originally quite happy, suddenly froze on her face. She didn't care about the head and deputy, but she cared about her father. How could he be her immediate boss? After the cooking competition, although Jun Changxiao provided them with a chance to reconcile, it took time for the two to completely break the ice. Moreover, when cooking on weekdays, Bao Angjun always looked for opportunities to contact his daughter, but the latter always deliberately avoided it. Do you have any opinions? Jun Changxiao said. Liu Wanshi paused and said, no objection. That's it. Jun Changxiao was worried that Liu Wanshi was too young to be the hall master, so he asked Angjun to take the position of the hall master of the dining hall. More importantly, this would also provide them with an opportunity to repair their relationship. The next day, after morning exercises, Jun Changxiao announced the establishment of the dining hall. This department is in charge of food. The hall master Rao Angjun, the deputy hall master Liu Wanshi, and the members are only Ma Yangning, Yahui and Dahui. Jun Changxiao specifically told the Ning brothers that the next time they open the mountain gate to recruit disciples, they can also make exceptions for applicants with cooking skills. In this way, the halls of the Wangu sect are enriched again. Junior sister Liu, congratulations on your promotion to hall master. Oh, isn't it so enviable? When can I also get the position of hall master? In the cafeteria, Li Fei, Shanqi and others surrounded Liu Wanshi and congratulated her, but also envied her. You have no ambition. Suzaomo sat next to him, tapping her legs and said, if you want to be an elder, be one. That makes sense. Li Fei and Shanqi's eyes lit up immediately. Wangu sect has everything it needs now, except elders, because there are only 4 of them. In terms of rank, the elders must be higher than the hall master. But, Li Fei said, Brother Su, how can we become elders? Don't worry. Jun Changxiao walked in and said with a smile, when the sect becomes stronger in the future, anyone will have the opportunity to become an elder. Swish. Everyone stood up and said, meet the sect master. Sit down. Jun Changxiao gestured. Sect master. Suzaomo came over and said excitedly, do we really have the opportunity to become elders in the future? Yes. Jun Changxiao said, but it depends on your performance. In fact, with the cultivation level of Li Qingyang and others, it is no problem for them to become elders, but he is not considering it for the time being, because the disciples still need to focus on cultivation. That night, Lu Qian stood alone on the mountain peak, her white clothes fluttering, like a fairy from the 9th heaven who had descended to the earth. What are you thinking about? Jun Changxiao appeared behind her without knowing when. Lu Kai and Qian did not turn around and said, "Does the sect master really want to participate in the dragon and tiger contest? Since you have promised Master Yi, you naturally cannot break your promise." Jun Changxiao said. Lu Kai and Qian said, "The dragon and tiger contest is the highest level sect competition on the continent, and the participating sects are also very powerful. The stronger, the more challenging." Jun Chang smiled. At first, he decided to take his disciples to participate in the dragon and tiger contest for the spirit stones given by Master Yi. After gradually learning about this information, he realized that such a grand event must be participated in anyway. Going to various states to cause trouble can no longer satisfy Master Jun. He needs a bigger stage for his disciples to show off. Dragon and tiger contest? It is undoubtedly very suitable. Moreover, according to his judgment of the system, this time participating in such a large-scale sect competition will definitely trigger tasks and earn enough contribution points. Lu Kai and Qian said, "There will be many first-class sects participating." "That's even better." Jun Chang smiled. He has fought with the second-rate Lily Holy Sect. Now he really wants to see the disciples of the first-class sects. Do they have one more leg or one more eye than his own disciples? Lu Kai and Qian said, "The first-class sects have a strong foundation. If our sect participates in the war, we must prepare for the worst." Jun Changxiao shook his head and said, "As a senior disciple, I cannot help others to grow their ambitions and destroy my own prestige." Lu Kai and Qian was silent. She was once a disciple of Taixu and Shengzang and had a deep understanding of first-class sects. That's why she said this, not because she underestimated the strength of her fellow disciples. Since the sect leader wants to participate in the dragon and tiger contest, the disciples will definitely go all out. Lu Kai and Qian said. After that, she left. Watching the graceful figure disappear in the night, Jun Changxiao touched his chin and said, "This woman seems to know a lot about first-class sects." The system said, "So, none of the disciples who can enter the host sect are ordinary people." The next day, Liu Wanshi prepared the journey meal early, because today the sect leader wanted to take the brothers to Zhangzhou. Chapter 697 Entering the second round, that's victory. As the highest level sect disciple competition in Xinjiang continent, the dragon and tiger contest is of great value. To show respect, Jun Changxiao took the sect's strongest 25 disciples with him. The first batch of inner disciples, such as Lu Kai and Qian and Li Qingyang, and later Long Xiang and Song Zuanzhao were definitely indispensable. He Wudi, the most rapidly growing closed disciple, also went with him. These are definitely the most elite disciples in the Eternal Ancient Sect. No matter their cultivation and qualifications, they are among the best in the entire continent. To be honest, if there is no limit on the number of people, Sect Master Jun will take all the disciples who have reached the Martial King level. Brother. In front of the mountain gate, the disciples saw him off and shouted loudly, "We are waiting for you to return triumphantly in the sect." Suzuomo, who had already walked to the foot of the mountain, turned around and raised her hand and said, "Junior sister Liu, you must prepare a sumptuous meal and come back to celebrate." Thinking about celebrating before participating. If others heard this, they would definitely sneer. On the way, Jun Changxiao repeatedly reminded, "Going to Zhangzhou to participate in the dragon and tiger contest will be a test, you must take it seriously." "Yes." All the disciples said in unison. Yi Xingchen, who followed behind, had an expectant look in his eyes. In his previous life, he had been practicing alone. Although he had heard of the dragon and tiger contest, he had never participated in it. This time, representing the Wangu sect in the competition, it can be regarded as making up for the regrets in the past. Brother Liu. Suddenly, Hua's voice came to his ears. "I hope you can return safely." Yi Xingchen's face darkened. This woman has not bothered me for a long time. Why did she suddenly take the initiative to speak today? Hua knew that Brother Liu had lost his memory, so after joining the Wangu sect, she forced herself to become a little transparent. On weekdays, in addition to practicing martial arts, she also learned cooking. Sometimes, when exchanging martial arts with fellow disciples, Yi Xingchen passed by, and he would pretend not to see him, or even deliberately avoid him. "Why are you afraid of him?" Li Luoqiu once asked her. Hua stammered, "Brother Ainyu seems to hate me, so I can only avoid him." Liluoqiu was speechless. The two of them were clearly engaged, but they had to avoid each other deliberately. Is this the so-called distance creates beauty? If you ask me. Liluoqiu stepped on the stool, raised the desert eagle, and said murderously, "Just put the gun to his head and ask him if he will marry me. If he doesn't, shoot him." Wow. Liu, she said with her mouth open. "Master Li, this is too cruel." "Yes." Yao Mengying said, "So cruel." Liluoqiu put away the gun and said, "Emotional matters must be decided immediately. If it can be successful, it will be successful. If it can't be successful, it will be cut off. Otherwise, you will suffer greatly." "Master Li, you are so experienced." Liu, she said. Liluoqiu said, "When I was a killer, I took on a lot of emotional tasks and killed a lot of unfaithful men." Boom. Boom. In a deep forest, there was a loud explosion. The powerful spiritual energy spread and shattered the surrounding vegetation. Trample, trample. After a while, a rough man with his upper body exposed came out carrying a spirit beast. This man didn't look very old, but his muscles were very developed. He must have made great achievements in body shaping. "Brother." A young woman sat on a tree and took a bite of an apple she had just picked. She said, "Master just sent someone to deliver a letter asking you to prepare quickly to participate in the upcoming dragon and tiger contest." Plop. The rough man dropped the spirit beast, then sat on it, shook his head, and said impatiently, "I know." He didn't want to participate in the dragon and tiger contest, but just wanted to continue practicing in the mountains. Master also said. The woman smiled and said, "The newly rising Wongu sect has a disciple named Ziozuji, who has a strong physical defense and can be used as your opponent." "Really?" The rough man's eyes lit up immediately. In the bamboo forest, a man with a scarf covering his eyes stood proudly. Clang. Suddenly, the sword was unsheathed. Swish, swish, swish. The sword light spread out, instantly cutting through the bamboo leaves. The poetic and picturesque scene seemed to be torn into strips by the sword energy. Big Brother's swordsmanship has improved a lot. As the strongest representative of our spirit sword sect, he will definitely achieve excellent results in the dragon and tiger contest. He must win first place. Yes. Yes. A group of warriors standing in the distance were discussing. The man sheathed his sword, took off his scarf, and murmured, "I hope to meet a sword genius of equal strength in the dragon and tiger contest." Young sect master, the dragon and tiger contest will start in 2 months. Why haven't you practiced yet? A disciple said weakly on the misty mountain. TSK. The young man lying on the stone, looking careless, curled his lips and said, "With my current strength, do I still need to practice? I heard from the sect master that many first-class sects have participated in this dragon and tiger contest. Young sect master must not be careless." The disciple said. The young man said disapprovingly, "A group of vulgar mortals can make me use 60% of my strength, which is great." The disciple was silent. The young sect master's talent is beyond doubt absolutely the best in the Xingyu continent, but his temperament is a little too wild and arrogant. "Hey." The young man stretched out his arms and said, "If you don't meet an opponent in this dragon and tiger contest, it will be really boring." As the dragon and tiger contest is about to start, the top talents of each sect are eager to try. This high-level competition not only wins honor for the sect, but also proves one's strength. Naturally, there will be no slackness. Of course. The major sects also set off for Zhangzhou one after another. By then, the strong men from all states and counties will gather together, which is a real gathering of heroes. Although our Jun sect master set off early with his disciples, he did not leave southwest Yangzhou until a few days later. Because there was plenty of time, he was not in a hurry to travel, but went to Xianyuking City by the way, first visited City Lord Mu, and then visited Xianyu Academy and Certification Hall. This time, the Wongu sect represented the entire southwest Yangzhou, so Mu Changhang entertained them warmly and expressed great hope. Just after the invitation, Master Yi hosted another banquet. The topic was always about the dragon and tiger contest, and he gave him a list of participants, which listed many major sects. Wow. There are a total of 200 participating sects in this dragon and tiger contest. There are 5 first-rate sects, 10 second-rate sects, and the rest are all third and fourth rate. Moreover, nearly 30% of the sects are from Zhangzhou province. Some of them may seem to be only third and fourth rate, but their true strength may not be weaker than the second and third rate in other states. No fifth rate sects? Jun Changxiao said in astonishment. Master Yi said, it has been hundreds of years since a fifth rate sect participated in the dragon and tiger contest. Jun Changxiao hurriedly took a sip of wine to calm down and said, all of them are higher than my Wangu sect. This is really tricky. Master Jun. Master Yi said seriously, as long as we enter the second round, we will win. P.S. I have something to do tomorrow, so I will tentatively update too, and the update time will be postponed. It's just right to relax my mind and welcome the upcoming Dragon and Tiger contest. Chapter 698. Causing trouble when arriving in Zhangzhou province. The best result for the sects in Yangzhou, southwest China, in the Dragon and Tiger contest is to be eliminated in the first round, so Yi Xiangxing hopes that the Eternal Ancient Sect can break this curse and successfully enter the second round. Master Yi. Jun Changxiao said speechlessly, isn't this pursuit too low? Since he brought his disciples to participate in the Dragon and Tiger contest, he was aiming for the championship. Entering the second round is victory, which is really a bit of an underestimation. Of course. Yi Xiangxing said, if Master Jun's sect can achieve better results, it would be the best. He is actually very optimistic about the Eternal Ancient Sect, but there are too many participating sects in Zhangzhou. There is no suspense about advancing to the second round. There is a high probability that they will become Master Jun's next opponent. If they really meet, I'm afraid it will be very troublesome. So Yi Xiangxing is praying now that the Eternal Ancient Sect will encounter a sect that is not Zhangzhou in the first round, and if there is a higher breakthrough, they will continue to avoid it. The participating sects in other states also think so. No one wants to encounter a Zhangzhou sect in the first or second round, otherwise they will be beaten back home. Most of the sects in other states are at the third or fourth rate level, which is really not challenging. Walking on the road, Jun Changxiao took out the list of participants and read it carefully, muttering, if you want to fight, you have to fight against the Zhangzhou sect. That's interesting. Others are praying not to meet, but Jun is the only one who can treat him in his death period. Of course. What Jun Zhangzu thought was that, if he met a Zhangzhou sect in the first round, it would be best if it was at the third or fourth rate level, not the first or second rate. It's not that he is afraid. It's just that it's interesting to meet such a high level sect at a high level. The system poured cold water and said, the opponents in the Dragon and Tiger contest are randomly selected. Maybe the host is lucky and will meet a first rate sect in the first round. It doesn't matter. Jun Changxiao said, since you are running for the championship, you will meet a sect of this level sooner or later. The host is open-minded. I hope you don't lose in the first round. The system said, get lost. There is a distance from southwest Yangzhou to Zhangzhou, but because of the relatively loose time, Jun Changxiao was not in a hurry to travel, and enjoyed the scenery of the other world along the way. Li Qingyang, Xiao Zuji and others were always in a state of excitement. As the highest standard sect disciple competition in Xinjiang continent, there must be a gathering of geniuses. It must be very exciting to fight with them. In the Lily Holy Sect, the most elite disciples of their sect did not make a move, so they are extremely looking forward to the Dragon and Tiger competition with the first and second rate sect disciples. Even Yi Xingchen, who has experienced great winds and waves, is looking forward to it. He Wudi is the calmest, because he is from the upper world, and has no interest in this kind of competition in the lower world. Half a month later, the group entered the territory of Zhangzhou. Standing in the grass, Suzaomo took a deep breath and exclaimed, Sect Master, the attributes of heaven and earth are so rich. There are many places where spiritual energy is revived here, and the spiritual energy intensity is much higher than that of other states. Li Qingyang said. Jun Changxiao held his chin with a smile, thinking, establishing the sect in Zhangzhou, with such a strong spiritual energy, the disciples will only improve faster. The system said, does the host plan to relocate the sect? No. Jun Chang smiled. Tigu Mountain is also a place where spiritual energy is revived. Its spiritual energy level is not inferior to that of Zhang Zhantao. He will definitely not go to great lengths to migrate. People go to high places, and water flows to low places. Unfortunately, Arjan Zhangsu fell in love with Qingyang County and planned to develop there for a long time. What's more, he has a great ambition. Make the area where the sect is located into the center of the continent and a martial arts holy land that everyone yearns for. In the Black Wind Village, Jun Changxiao once said that it is not my character to adapt. I will let Xinjiang continent adapt to me. The world now thinks that the middle of the continent is Zhangzhantao. In the future, I will redefine it. The house number 001 of Tigu Mountain in Qingyang County, southwest Yangzhou is the real middle of the continent. The further you go into Zhangzhantao, the more the spiritual energy intensity continues to increase, which not only makes Li Qingyang and others more and more excited. The more abundant the spiritual power here is, the more powerful geniuses can be nurtured. It must be super cool to fight with them. Soon, everyone saw scattered martial artists on the official road one after another. Judging from their attire, they should be locals from Zhangzhen province. They exude a very impressive aura, and it is almost hard to see that they are at the level of martial artists. Someone also saw Jun Changxiao and others, and whispered, these people are dressed in seductive clothes. They should not be from Zhangzhen province. The dragon and tiger contest is about to begin. They may be from other states. They are dressed so fancy, they are here to be cannon fodder. The sense of superiority of warriors in Zhangzhen province is definitely higher than that of warriors in other states. Moreover, in the previous dragon and tiger contests, the sects of this state have won the most championships, so they naturally have more superior capital. Jun Changxiao ignored them, took out the map, and looked at the marked location, muttering, we should be able to reach our destination in another day. Trample, trample, trample. Suddenly, the sound of horse hooves came from behind. Everyone in front, get out of the way. The domineering voice came over. It was a group of dozens of horsemen, galloping from behind, exuding an overbearing momentum. Jun Changxiao frowned. The official road is so wide, is it necessary to get out of the way? Moreover, judging from the opponent's rushing formation, if you don't get out of the way, you will hit it. There are thousands of roads. Safety is the first, and the traffic slogan. If you drive irregularly, your loved ones will cry for you. Doesn't they know? Don't know? Okay, tell them today. Reproach yourself. Jun Changxiao said coldly. The system collapsed and said, you are causing trouble when you first come to Zhangzhantao. Trample. Xiao Zuji suddenly stopped, and the heavy earth-type spiritual energy burst out. He turned around abruptly and swung his right arm to sweep behind him. Whoosh, the earth-type spiritual energy dragged the light, as if it turned into a thick tree. Not good. The face of the warrior who rushed over suddenly changed. Boom. Boom. Dozens of galloping horses were swept away, and the warriors riding on them fell to the ground in embarrassment. The warrior walking in the front turned his head, and happened to see Xiao Zuji sweeping the entire horse team away with his own strength. His eyes widened instantly. This young guy must be very powerful. It's the KO family of Jinling County. It's going to be a good show. Seeing the group of warriors staggering to the ground, passers-by whispered, Jinling County is one of the 13 counties in Zhangzhantao, and the KO family is one of the largest families in the county, and its overall strength is not inferior to that of third and fourth rate sects. The foreign sect dared to attack them actively, absolutely courting death. Damn it. The domineering man who had shouted earlier, his eyes flashing with anger, said, how dare you block the way of our KO family. Swish. Suzuomo appeared in front of him and kicked him in the face with the back of her right foot, kicking him dozens of feet away. After landing gracefully, she said coldly, watch your mouth. You're looking for death. Clang, clang, clang. Dozens of KO family warriors angrily offered their weapons. The next second they froze in place. Because Li Qingyang, Li Fei and others were already close, with swords in their hands on their necks. There was no doubt. If you move your head, you will have to move. The domineering warrior who was kicked away by Suzuomo stood up in pain, covering his face and said angrily, you, who are you? Chapter 699. Local climate and soil nurture local people. There are many official roads in Zhangzhantao. The road that Jun Changxiao took his disciples on just leads to Jinling County. The Kao family, the most prestigious family in Jinling County, must be majestic and unstoppable whenever they come from this road. Locals who are familiar with the style of this family will definitely give way at the first time. But they were defeated today because they met Jun Changxiao and the Eternal Ancient Sect. This group of stubborn guys will not care about the other party's identity. As long as they dare to speed over and rush over, they must be beaten. Don't care about life and death, and fight if you don't obey. It is a basic quality that a person in the rivers and lakes must have. You, who are you? Easily blocking the way, rushing in front of him, and kicking him away. The domineering warrior of the Kao family finally realized that the idea was very tough. Xiaomo, Jun Changxiao said, tell him. Yes. Xiaomo shook her black hair and said proudly, listen carefully, we are disciples of the Eternal Ancient Sect, and this is our majestic and extraordinary sect master. Eternal Ancient Sect? The passerby's face changed slightly. Obviously, they had heard of this emerging sect from Yangzhou in the southwest. Wangu Sect is the 100th sect in the latest issue of the Heroes competition list. No wonder it is so strong. The Kao family is in trouble. Everyone whispered. The warriors in Zhangzhou have heard of Wangu Sect, and they also know that this sect is very violent and will attack other forces if they disagree. For example, several evil sects. For example, the Jahan Palace in Lhasao in the northeast. In the impression of the world, Wangu Sect is a young man who has just started out, fearless, very capable of causing trouble, and very good at causing trouble. The domineering warrior of the Kao family gradually oozes cold sweat on his forehead. He has also heard of Wangu Sect, and he also knows that this sect is very violent, and even dares to challenge the Holy Lily Sect. Master Jun. The anger on the face of the domineering warrior dissipated, and he bowed his hands and said, I'm sorry for the offense. Even if he was beaten away, even if he knew that the group of people blocking the road were very strong, he still remained full of anger. But when he learned that the other party was from Wangu Sect, he immediately admitted his fear. You have to admit defeat. If you really offend him and bring your disciples to challenge the family, it will be a big deal. Although the Kao family is comparable to a third or fourth rate sect, it is only a family after all, and there is still a big gap compared to the real third or fourth rate sect. Even the Holy Lily Sect can't stand it. How can a family stand it? Jun Changxiao shook his head and said, speeding is dangerous. What if you hit a child? Even if you don't hit a child, it's not good to hit flowers and plants. The Kao family warrior twitched his mouth slightly and nodded hurriedly, saying, what the master said makes sense. We will definitely slow down and travel carefully in the future. Jun Changxiao was very satisfied with this attitude of admitting mistakes, so he waved his hand. Swish, swish. Li Qingyang and others sheathed their swords. Dozens of Kao family warriors who were controlled breathed a sigh of relief. Let's go. Jun Changxiao led his disciples to continue on their way. After they left, passers-by started talking again. The strength of dozens of Kao family warriors is at the peak martial arts level, and they were subdued in an instant. The strength of the Wangu Sect disciples is very strong. Nonsense. They have challenged the major sects in Donghaosao and the Lily Holy Sect. Not to mention the Wu Zhang. Even the Wu Wan couldn't beat them. The sect that can be ranked in the top 100 of the Heroes competition list is really extraordinary. In my opinion, Wangu Sect has the appearance of a dark horse in this dragon and tiger contest. The Kao family warriors helped the horse up and detoured to Jinling County. As for this bad breath, it must be swallowed. This fully shows that with the current reputation of Wangu Sect, not everyone dares to provoke it even in Zhangzhou. Black Mountain Cliff is located in the south of Zhangzhou. Jun Changxiao's participation in the Dragon and Tiger contest is definitely not on the way, but it is still early for the competition, so he deliberately took his disciples there. The dark sect forces that show off their existence for no reason make him very unhappy. As long as there are any clues, they must be investigated as soon as possible. Boom. Boom. However, when they reached a forest, they could faintly hear the sound of fighting. It was two groups of people fighting, and their cultivation was at the level of martial arts masters, and the fight was vivid. Jun Changxiao was too lazy to pay attention, and led his disciples to bypass it. As a result, when they walked out of the dense forest, they encountered many warriors fighting one after another. The reason was nothing more than "you robbed my treasure," he robbed his crystal core, and there were even fights because of robbing someone else's woman. The warriors of Zhangzhou are also very irritable. Jun Changxiao shook his head. As long as no one provokes him, he will not participate in other people's fights, so they have been peaceful all the way. Raw. When they reached another forest, a huge spirit beast rushed out, with a gloomy light in his eyes, looking for death. Jun Changxiao said lightly. Swish, swish, swish. Several figures flew out from both sides, and immediately displayed colorful martial arts, directly killing the spirit beast comparable to the martial king. Everyone. The leading man in white sheathed his sword, and said in a gentle manner, "You are safe." The disciples of the Wangu sect. Jun Chang smiled and said, "Thank you for your help." The man in white smiled and said, "There are many spirit beasts in this forest. If you are going out, it is best to take the official road. It will be safe." "Thank you." Jun Chang smiled. "Let's go." The man in white waved his hand and disappeared into the forest with several warriors in uniform. Sect Master Li Qingyang said, "These people are quite strong. They are only at the peak martial arts level. With the combined efforts of several people, they easily killed a spirit beast. They should be disciples of a certain sect." Jun Chang smiled. Suzaomo said with a blazing light, "I'm looking forward to the battle between dragons and tigers. Let's go." Jun Chang smiled and led his disciples to continue moving forward. After experiencing this incident, he deliberately chose to travel through the wild mountains and ridges. The more fierce beasts there are in an area, the more warriors there are. It can also be used as an opportunity to examine the overall strength of the warriors in Zhangzhou. It did not disappoint the Jun sect master. On the way to the Black Cliff, we met many warriors from Zhangzhou. Some chose to practice alone, and some chose to practice in pairs. Their strength may not be higher than that of the disciples of the Wangu sect, but they all practiced good martial arts and cooperated very well. Some high-level beasts in other states may require dozens of people to kill, but in front of the warriors of Zhangzhou, only a few people can easily deal with them. In short, the warriors of Zhangzhou are much stronger in qualifications and strength than those of the same level in other states. The land and water nurture the people. The warriors raised in the land with abundant spiritual energy are better than those outside. The stronger the warriors of Zhangzhou are, the more excited Li Qingyang, Zhao Zuji and others will be, because since joining the Wangu sect, they have been seriously lacking opponents who can fight them happily. "Master," Suzaomo said, "I feel my blood burning." "Yes." Li Fei clenched his fists and said, "I can't wait to find a Zhangzhou warrior to have a good fight." "Don't worry." Jun Chang smiled and said, "Wait until the dragon and tiger contest begins. That's the stage for you to perform." Trample. Trample. Suddenly, the ground shook. Everyone looked hurriedly and saw a rough man in the deep forest carrying a spirit beast with a head as big as a mountain on his back. Every step he took would leave a concave footprint. "Everyone." The man said embarrassedly, "Excuse me, in which direction is the dragon and tiger contest venue? It seems that this guy is lost." Jun Chang smiled and pointed to the west, saying, "Go straight in this direction and you will reach the city, where the dragon and tiger contest is held." "Thank you." The rough man continued to move forward with the spirit beast on his back. However, his eyes met Zhao Zuji's intentionally or unintentionally, and they separated again after a short while. "Junior brother Zhao." Li Qingyang transmitted his voice, "This guy has a very strong body." "Yeah." Zhao Zuji kept looking at the rough man who was walking step by step and thought to himself, he should also participate in the dragon and tiger contest. Chapter 700 Black Mountain Cliff. In the south of Zhangzhou, there is a mountain that extends upward in an inclined shape. Because the surface is dark black and there is no grass, it is called Black Mountain Cliff. There is nothing special about Black Mountain Cliff. It can be said to be ordinary. Until 10,000 years ago, the demon emperor led his people to fight fiercely with the righteous strongmen here and became famous in the world. To this day, a large number of warriors come to Black Mountain Cliff every day, relying on their imaginations to imagine the unprecedented battle between good and evil in those days. It's a pity that I was not born in that era, otherwise I would have fought with the evil spirits and turned the world upside down. In that battle, many of my righteous strongmen died, but fortunately I still killed the devil at the last moment. Two warriors stood on Black Mountain Cliff and communicated, and their words revealed admiration and remembrance for their ancestors. Master. Suddenly, a voice came from behind. Is this Black Mountain Cliff? It doesn't seem to be anything special. The two heard the voice and turned their heads to look. More than 20 warriors dressed in gorgeous clothes came up at some point. The leader was dressed in white, looked to be in his early 20s, and exuded a faint aura of dominance. Who? Jun Changxiao. Don't look at this guy who laughs and jokes all the time. After all, he has been the leader for several years, and the aura of a superior has gradually emerged. Li Qingyang said, the Black Mountain Cliff is ordinary, but it is known to the world because of the battle between good and evil. He has some understanding of what happened 10,000 years ago. Suzaomo asked, second brother, I heard that the Demon Emperor was here that year, fighting against dozens of strong men with his own strength, and the battle lasted for a long time without a winner? Yes. Li Qingyang said. Suzaomo said, the Demon Emperor is really strong. The two warriors frowned when they heard this. The Demon Emperor is a recognized big devil, and this guy dares to praise him? Suzaomo stopped at the highest point, looking at the magnificent scenery, and sighed. It's a pity that I was not born in that era, otherwise I would definitely see the grace of the Demon Emperor. This young friend, a warrior in the distance, couldn't help but said coldly, the Demon Emperor brought disaster to the continent in the past, which is really unacceptable. As a mainlander, we should despise him instead of praising him. The warriors who came to Black Mountain Cliff all remembered the upright ancestors who had died in battle. Now someone admired the Demon Emperor, and they would definitely not be able to stand it. TSK. Suzaomo curled her lips. Jun Changxiao ignored such a serious warrior, and walked on the smooth ground. The whole Black Mountain Cliff was covered by the release of his spiritual thoughts. It was clearly written in the notes of the first leader of the Black Dragon Evil Sect that the bloodthirsty method was discovered in the cave of Black Mountain Cliff. But there is no cave here. Huh. Suddenly, the spiritual thoughts touch some kind of barrier during the extension. Is there a formation? Jun Changxiao concentrated his energy and began to penetrate the barrier that blocked the extension of his spiritual thoughts. Perhaps the formation had existed long enough to lose its protective effect, and it was broken by him in just a moment. The other side of the barrier was a cave, but there was nothing inside. However, on the stone platform in the central area, a square area covered with dust was obviously much thinner than the surrounding area. This means that something should have been placed here and then taken away by someone else. Jun Changxiao guessed. Could it be that this is the cave discovered by the leader of the Black Dragon Evil Sect, and the bloodthirsty magic is placed on the stone platform? Possibly. The system said. Jun Changxiao continued to observe, and after not gaining anything, he withdrew his spiritual thoughts. He came to the Black Cliff to look for caves, and see if he could find some clues from them, but the result disappointed him. Jun Changxiao sighed and said, no clues again. Suddenly, when his spiritual thoughts were released, he encountered another formation barrier, so he was surprised and said, is there more than one cave here? Continue to crack. Whoosh, release the spiritual thoughts and penetrate again. But, in just a moment, the second formation barrier was breached, and there was also a small cave inside, and there was also a stone platform. On the stone platform, there was a black box. Judging from the carved patterns, it should have some historical value. Swish. Jun Changxiao jumped and fell directly down the cliff. This sudden behavior shocked all the warriors who came to worship their ancestors. Why did he suddenly jump off the cliff? Li Qingyang, Xiao Zuji and others didn't take it to heart. After all, the sect leader was strong, and even if he really fell down, he would definitely not die. Step. At the bottom of the cliff, Jun Changxiao landed smoothly, and then walked towards the second cave, quickly blending into it, and stopping in front of the stone platform. At this moment, he could roughly guess that there must have been such a box in the previous cave, but it was taken away by someone else, and it was very likely that it was the sect leader of the Black Dragon Evil Sect. Swish. Jun Changxiao waved his hand and pushed the box away. Hoo. Suddenly, a faint black attribute surged out of the box and then dissipated in the air. No danger. Jun Changxiao relaxed, and the armor that permeated his body automatically removed. In the open black box, there was a book with 3 big characters Tong emojing written on it. Heart method? Jun Changxiao waved his hand and took the secret book. There was a slightly new piece of paper inside. There were densely written small characters on it, which said that the Demon Emperor sect split up, and a group of traitors who violated the Demon Emperor's will wanted to snatch the Tong emojing that I was guarding. So I set up a large formation on the Black Mountain cliff and stored the Demon Emperor's martial arts here. The handwriting was messy. Jun Changxiao judged that the person who left the word should have written it in a hurry. Traitor? Could it be the remnants of the demon sect that separated? Jun Changxiao looked at the demonic scripture again and murmured, is this mental method the martial arts of the Demon Emperor? As a hegemon who dared to be an enemy of the entire continent 10,000 years ago, the martial arts he practiced must be extraordinary. How could he get it so easily? This is too much of a joke. No. Jun Changxiao said, anyone can easily find the array barrier, so why would I wait until now to find it? He came to investigate the remnants of the demon sect who had separated and accidentally obtained the demonic scripture practiced by the Demon Emperor. Because it was too simple, it made Jun Changxiao suspicious. What's more, the leader of the Black Dragon Evil sect had obviously found the cave. Why didn't he find this place and only took away the bloodthirsty method? The more he thought about it, the more confused he felt. Jun Changxiao shook his head, threw the demonic scripture into the space ring, and then walked out. The spiritual thoughts were released again, exploring the Black Mountain cliff inside and out, and no other arrays were found, so he had to return to the cliff to reunite with his disciples. King Guiyang. Jun Changxiao said in a voice transmission, there is a formation under the cliff. Have you found it? Formation? King Guiyang said with a bewildered look. No. Jun Changxiao was also stunned. He did not destroy the existing formation, and it still exists and operates now. As long as the spiritual thoughts are released, it can be touched. How come he didn't find it? Not only King Guiyang, the disciples of the Eternal Ancient Sect present released their spiritual thoughts one after another, but they didn't capture anything. Jun Changxiao held his chin and said, the formation existing in the Black Mountain cliff, can it be that only I can find it? End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.